Yes, sir. Have some fun and get it done.
It's funny because I told myself I wasn't going to smoke on camera. We'll just let it ride. Oh yeah, no, tell me. You know, it's we getting real. Welcome to the interview series. We're getting real intimate, real cozy. This is really what it's about. You know, love the way that we even met in the first place. What's that? Wednesday night into Thursday morning, around 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock. This curious soul comes upon my path as I'm working on that art, and it was very rhythmic, and one thing into another. Here we are on Friday, and we're just cozying up. So I appreciate you being open, Sire. He's walking an extraordinary path, truly.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. 2 o'clock in the morning.
I think that's what it was.
2 o'clock. I thought it was like 4. I'm not gonna lie. I went to Buzzville maybe 2 days ago. Now I
Maybe.
saw it. Thank God. But he was like, no, it's 2. I was like, "Hmm." But we spoke for about 2 hours.
I'd say that's about right. Yeah. So yeah, we got a good start to things, and I think there's more to come. I would say,
Yeah.
you got some things in the works. I heard again we were even going to get into the story, but you wanted to say it for the interview, and man, it's so good to be able to really lean into the stories. You know,
I'm here.
yeah.
Whatever you want to know, I will try to convey it best way I can.
Well, you left the Bronx like what 7 years ago?
7 years ago, 2019.
So I mean, that's even a story to get into, like being brought up through the Bronx, and like that's again because most people aren't really aware of what's going on inner city, and like it's so hard to even get out of that and to like even have your head on your shoulders enough
Yeah.
to like get over that and like cope with like the reality of those experiences.
Yeah, no, it was
Like
a lot. No, totally.
but it's such a concentrated type of exposure to the human experience, and like that's at least what I feel. Obviously, the Bronx is like a whole other level.
Bronx is gangster. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Dang, I don't even know where to start.
Well, yeah, let's not even get into that because it's more about your story and how you got out of the Bronx and you started 7 years ago,
Yeah.
and here we are today.
So I would say I moved 2019. So it actually started with my adopted mom. I think I told you a little bit about it. But my adopted mom, who was my high school teacher,
Right.
she was my science teacher slash mentor slash. She says when she first met me, she already knew that she was going to be my mom. And she was studying to get her doctorate in child psychology. But at the same time, like my mom was getting ready to get out of jail. Like we were in India a bit.
Right. And like even that story is again, yeah, you should. It's good to have a recap on this.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you can go in as much detail as you want because again, like this is so open ended, and if people are in it for the story, then they're in it for the story. So like,
Let's get into it. Okay. All right, yeah. So boom, basically, in 2019, she was like, "Hey, I'm going to Hawaii to finish my doctorate. She's a psychologist, and she wouldn't come with me. And literally, my mom just got out of jail, like the year before, 2018. So things were like pretty hectic. And on top of that, it was like my mother. Like I've never actually lived with her. I've only experienced her in school or out of school, hanging out, but we never lived together. Like I never had. She treats me like her son because I am her son, but I never got to live with her. So this was that point where it was like, okay, cool. Let's go to Hawaii for a year because that was the plan. So that's how I got out of the Bronx. My mother literally dragged. I would like to say she dragged me. I think she saw the road I was going down. Like, I would have survived because God is good 100%, but I believe He definitely used her to take me out of a lot of dangerous situations. And that year when my mom came out was like the perfect timing for her, for me, honestly. Anyway, it's just like what happened so perfectly. Anyway, so that's how I got out of the Bronx. She snatched me out. It was like, hey,
yeah.
I'm going to do this thing. You're my son. Come live with me. And I'm like, yes, I love you. I appreciate you. We out.
Yeah, I mean, because even through that, like if your mom was in prison for 10 years, like what did that look like for you in a nutshell, or however you want to get into that story? But that's what I'm curious about.
That looked like, oh, That looked like 10 plus years. That looked like 10 years of visiting my mom every month and also having multiple other parents. I'm not at any given moment, all while learning who I am as a preteen and teenager. That's yeah, yeah. It's just like hey, like, cause like I'm one out of 6 kids, and I always say this. I did my mom did it with her. Like we all did the bit with her because we all experienced it on a emotional level. But I'm the only one who went out there. I didn't miss them all. I did not miss them all. I used to sell my ass to get tickets to go fucking like on the train. I didn't have to do that, but literally like, come on. I'm not like I was my own parent.
So for 10 years you were doing that.
10 years.
Every month with mom. Yeah, damn. It's again, that's a whole other like concentrated type of emotional experience where like most other children don't have to like see reality through that lens as they're like in their formative years, you know?
I will say though, there's a lot of kids that go through that.
Yeah.
It's about time. Like, yeah.
I mean, again, it's that whole thing about just a lot of people don't see the reality within inner cities, and again, there's just too many things to go into regarding like the understanding of why people are extremely frustrated and upset with the supreme injustices that we have to pretend are uh like rationalized.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But that's a whole other. That's definitely just a whole other thing. So you're fast forward a bit. I guess you're in Hawaii now. You know. That's where that came from.
Yeah. Oh, Hawaii. Okay, cool. So, whew, Hawaii. I love Hawaii. Hawaii saved my life. Like, as I said, like, Hawaii saved my life.
That's a swing from one extreme to the other for sure.
Like, that's why I use the term, like, my mom, like snatched me out of New York, going to Hawaii, and literally my entire life changed. Like, dance business, learning how to make music, freedom. You know, I wasn't in survival mode. I didn't have to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom just took care of me.
Yeah.
She cooked for me, and she gave me all of the things that I wasn't able
It's
to experience.
it is like really a miraculous, poetic way of looking at from one extreme to the other, and like the fact that she is also like a doctor in like essentially like childhood trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that she's really almost as if like you're the you were maybe a driving agent in her life to even really pursue her aspirations, and then to be able to like really shine that quality of healing into your life, you know?
Can I be completely honest? My mother is a go-getter, but and my mother is a super go-getter. But secondly, she actually told me that one time. It was a heated argument, but she was like, because like she was already going to go get her doctorate. She already wanted to move to Hawaii, but she expressed to me, she was like, "I'm doing this for you too, nigga." She didn't say nigga, but she's like, "I'm doing this for you too." Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just again like when life is like seen in that spiritual way and like you're able to like be because like whether you had the choice or not, like that's just how much life was driving like the instability of anything for you. You know, that like it would be always dynamic, and so like it was the obvious choice because it was like what other options do you have versus being overwhelmed with like the idea of options, but it's still like a confused path.
Say that one more time. I want to make sure I understand that statement.
I'll try to simplify it as best I can. I know that's a
Yes.
but like you know, it's like by merit of you being from a really like concentrated life path, so to say, where like there's no stability in any of your living situation, and like there's no set definition for what that even means for you. That it took you a long time to be able to actually access that sense. But like
Okay, I
you know that there was the capacity to be almost like forced into self development because you have nothing else to be really like attached to.
It's true. True. Well said. Thank you.
Yeah.
said.
versus like on the other extreme where it's so like there's no pressure and like there's almost just like the release of any sort of tension at all. So that person is like shaped and molded into an idea.
Yeah.
That's way abstract. That's way broad.
That's
But
okay.
I think you hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see where you're going. I do hear where
So that's again, it's really like it's really poetic, and I think it
Thank
gives a
you.
really beautiful sort of like
art.
undertone to like your life story, and
Thank
like
you.
like it's a really good start to a good story, and like
Thank
that is
you.
like how you continue to write that script and be a creative element in your own fate.
I do that in my music, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, and I love that. Like, this is how you're viewing my life. It may be a little conceited, but I actually, it's not conceited. It's a trauma response. Now that I think about it, I used to think of my life as a TV show, which everybody does. Everybody thinks that they're in a movie. Great, but my specific like school was or also orchestrating my life as a TV show, and I would do certain things, whether it was like not good for me, in order to play out this character that I was already going, like to play out the like character of which I was already going through. And I say all that to say, let me grab my thought back. I say all that to say, you said that this is a great way for me to start my story. It's like foster care, Bronx, mom in jail, Hawaii, now music. It's like I'm I'm already and also like planning on telling this story through the music, but not in a sad way, but in a way like yeah, it's like a movie song.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful that you're shaping your music according to the culture that you subscribe to, and like it's about your lived experience and how you're using it in your own healing and again your own self generation versus like again we could talk on and it was sort of what we even started talking about at Buzzmill, just about like the frustration of the music industry and like I'm frustrated with what I'm seeing and I'm not even in it and like I can only imagine like what you see of it and like how you feel about it.
If I'm being completely honest, I'm gonna start off by saying that I'm excited because there's a freaking shift that's happening with the music industry right now. All of the darkness as I perceive, or all of the idol worship, celebrity worship, the pride worship, is crumbling down. And I know as a collective, especially on the indie side of the culture, we're speaking about like there's no real music and everybody's doing TikTok trends and da 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 da. And it's like yes, that's totally happening. However, so much more of us are having this conversation, and we are making the music. Like I've seen change happen in music. There are a lot more quote unquote woke music or conscious music. There's a lot more conscious music that's not like that's actually modern. Now I know for a fact that we are at a place where everybody has awakened and they're seeing it. And those shaking ass music and drug music is literally it's already crumbling down. And all of us right here who have been planting seeds, hallelujah, it's literally gonna rise up and just gonna drop. And that's exactly where we're at.
I mean,
right now.
that's always the imagery and the analogy that I've always used. Is just like while this thinks it has the appearance of being on top, like we're already down here. We've already jumped ship. We've already started way down. And like again, it takes so much to get it moving. But like it's so obvious now with like the momentum of the collapse that this is like there's like a there's like a mutual relationship between like its death and this rejuvenation and this quality of renaissance. And like again, it's just like there's no apocalypse. Like it's just like that whole thing about like evolution and extinction are just two sides of the same mirror type of thing. Like it's so obvious how this is just the natural course of things, and it's been happening for so freaking long. It's so exhausted.
I never thought about it like that. I'm being honest, because you've been in this world a little longer than I have. Again, I'm now like finally becoming an adult, still grown. I didn't think about it how it has kind of always been like this. But I will say no apocalypse, but definitely a war,
Well,
electronic war specifically.
we live in a genuinely spiritual wartime where it's across all dimensions. Not only again like even within the third dimension of all these different qualities of even man, I won't get into all that with like the frequencies and things like that, but also like through social media and just like all of the ways that again by being so like impulse driven and like short-sighted,
Short-sighted, yeah.
but like people are breaking free of that like I believe that there's more of a development of an appetite for like more long form, just even interactions of like people are even in that if they're listening to people genuinely interacting, then it like shapes the mind into like this is how people
This is authentic. Like yeah, this is authenticity is literally yeah.
But then it becomes immediately pretentious in like saying all that because it's like, okay, well, again, like that's not the driving intention of us
It's a
sitting down,
balance.
because it's like, hey, Sire, do you want to like put on an act of like what it would look like for two people to authentically interact with each other? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's more
It's a
again
balance.
like anyway, man. I know that just like that goes in all different types of directions. So that's what we're really always about here. It's more about the quality of connection versus the quantity of attention. So let's belong. We got the enduring vision type of thing of like it's gonna be a long ride, so we might as well just get cozy with it.
And you know what? That's what the Lord been telling me. He's just like, you just chill, slow down, slow down. Like you may have all these visions of everything that's happening and what's gonna happen, but time,
Yeah,
time.
I mean, even you got I don't know how much you want to get into that, but you even got a bit of a wild ride with this apartment, and even today, again, it's up to you how much you
Let's
want to
do
get
it,
into
man.
that.
I'm gangsta. I'm about it.
So how long you been here though?
I've in this apartment or in Austin.
Yeah, in this apartment.
I've been in this Austin. I've been in this apartment coming up on a year. Maybe we'll make it a year, I think. But
And you stopped paying in November.
I stopped paying in November.
I mean, that's a pretty bold move. I mean, it's that whole thing about like, what the hell are we talking about democracy, and like, where do we have any say in what's going on? And like, we're pretending that all of the intellectuals are like, oh yes, 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 this is the calculations according to the economic index, that this is the appropriate value of these homes, and it's like, again, like, if man, on and on about like, yeah, of course, like you put you're appraising these homes for $15 million, that it's going to even like offset obviously all the people that are terribly impoverished in some capacity of access, so to say.
No,
It's wild.
Well, you wouldn't know because there's a lot of moving parts. I didn't just like stop paying. So like, what would you like to know?
Yeah, okay. Well, I said that as just sort of like setting a huge pre.
No, it's true.
Like,
I definitely did stop paying. But
yeah, and I think that's a bold move as an artist. Even in the statement against society, just like it's just so entirely broken, and like that would even in my eyes be a justifiable explanation for your.
And you know what? I appreciate that because that's exactly what happened. So it was. This is gonna take maybe like 5 minutes. This is like, but
yeah, take your time, man.
it's November. It's November, and I'm. The, the year has been crazy, but also like a blessing. I'm like releasing music, teaching dance classes, and I'm working. I'm working 40 hours a week, right? And I had a conversation with my best friend. Shout out to my best friend. He turned me up. And he did a calculation. He said, dude, you're spending over 200 hours and some change a month going to this company that you work at. And when he showed, because I was already getting tired of working, and when he showed me that number, I got really because it was then, because I already was getting frustrated about saving money for studio time and paying rent and groceries and etc. But I was doing it, you know what I'm saying? Like I was doing it. But when he showed me that number, it made me realize like, oh snap, like if I'm gonna do this thing, I actually like have to do this thing. And I prayed about it, like, Lord, like, what do you want me to do? And it's funny because for a long time he's been telling me, stop working, and like be an artist. And everybody has that moment. It just takes both to jump there. So in November, I said, all right, I'm not gonna stop working because he's like, he didn't tell me to stop working, but he was like, use the money for your music. And I'm like, how am I supposed to use money for the music and pay the rent? And he's like, trust me, just do it for the music. So I ended up traveling to like California for a little bit to go audition for Lion King. And that was the first time I used my rent money to like pay for something going towards my career without caring. And then I paid the next month after that.
What happened with the audition?
Oh, I didn't make it. However, I learned so much. It made like
That's a wild move to even get in. Try to go through all that.
it's literally why I'm like in this because if I didn't take that trip to Cali, I would still be working that job. Two songs that I released would not have been released, and I wouldn't be the dancer I am today because I trained super hard for that, and it showed me how much harder I need to work.
Yeah, I mean it's that whole thing about like sort of a devotional process within creation itself of like to act without attachment to the fruits of the labor.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
That like you got the value because you got the value and it wasn't about outcome specifically. At the end of the day, like trusting, these processes that are in motion within our lives,
Mm.
like never second guess it, blah blah blah.
And it's and it was hard to not second guess because I have people in my life, and it's okay because they all love me, but who are scared of things like that, who are scared if you are not working with a corporation, who are scared if you don't have a normal job, who are scared if you don't pay your rent, which is all valid. That's what being an adult is. But like I did have that backlash. Like I had to fight through that. Like no, like I'm not gonna be scared. Like if I'm gonna be who I say I'm gonna be, all of this will get taken care of eventually.
So you went to court today.
I did go to court today. And what happened? Oh, basically I have to be out by next week. And that's it. Yeah, and I'm totally cool with that. Like I'm so grateful.
By next week, so you have to be out by Sunday.
Probably, yeah.
Damn, dude, that's wild.
I'm excited.
So where are you gonna take all this stuff?
I'm First of all, I'm taking 2 suitcases and 2 backpacks. That's good. My big suitcase, my little suitcase, my big backpack, and my little backpack. Everything else, I don't need it.
Are you gonna like pawn it?
No, I'm gonna give it away.
That's wild.
Yeah, I've already been there. I had a table here. I had so much more stuff.
Dude, you should just try to even sell that bed.
You want it?
You see my van?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what am I gonna do with it? But if you
honestly,
post it on like Marketplace or something like that,
I'm not
anyway.
gonna sell the bed because energy. The energy that's in that bed, nobody needs that.
Alright. Fair enough. Enough said, maybe.
Enough said. No. I mean, we can go deeper into it because I'm all about that. But like, because I did think about it. Like, I gave away my table and I almost gave away this chair before it broke. But if I'm being honest, like, there's energy attached to that chair. That's the type of dude I am.
Well, that's definitely a broken ass chair.
It's broken now. It wasn't broke before I had somebody stay here, but it was. I don't know if you watched this, but yeah.
Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Can we pause and not gonna grab my tea?
Yeah, do that. Alright, dude, I'll pause. Alright, we got some tea going on. Got the microphone a little closer. We'll see how that changes, if anything at all.
Yeah, and dude, feel free to even like bring it up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, again, we were the conversation continues. It's just the way that it goes.
It's life.
And one thing after another, we got to the point where it's like, man, I really, really appreciate the way that you hold your home, even in light of the changes that are definitely happening, and obviously that whole story that becomes very interesting this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like it's such an even that is such a dissection of culture about like we're keeping the vibe alive on the streets type of thing, and like like it's like please somebody like just like hey please just put all your extreme resources towards people that are like genuinely also trying to generate solutions.
Man,
Like
man.
it's like, oh man, please just hey, everybody wants to be open minded. Like please, like hey, like
You have to set the structure a little bit.
Yeah.
A little structure. And just give contact. Because I know people. Just give contact. It said that I hold my house very sensitive.
I was spinning off with that. Yeah,
It's
appreciate
okay.
you bringing it back.
Oh no,
down,
I
but
have to. I have to
it's-
just to bring clarity.
Uh-huh.
Just to bring clarity. So, and I told them that I have a side of me that's traumatized, and because I like go into my like dark side, is what I like to call it. I try my hardest to, on the flip side, when I'm around people, to shut that healing energy, whether that be in my house or within conversation. And I was telling him that that's what he was feeling. You know, just to
Yeah,
just to give context.
Yeah, very affectionate. I would say you're a very affectionate man, and even what we say, your intentions were playful. Thursday morning type of thing. You know what I mean? And it's just like even more of the context about where you've come from and your own path, and just like really how do we deepen that conversation about masculinity and femininity.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
we were
mean?
talking about that.
And I feel like it all ties into that. It's just like there is so much space for men to be able to also have sensitivity and like know what beauty is. Like I think that's extremely valuable
It
in
is.
many ways, and
It
like
is.
because it really does capture the state of mind.
Me and my friend from Hawaii, me and her were talking. Was it me and her? No, it was actually someone else. It was my new sister in Christ who I've been talking to, Vanessa. Me and her were talking about how the words "I love you." Was it me and her? It was somebody. One of the many counsels who I see. We talk about the words "I love you" and how men get uncomfortable saying that to another guy and how that's stupid. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's just again the whole perversion around intimacy, and then like how much that becomes sexualized, and then it's such a perversion where like brotherhood is like such a lost love.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And then and it gets into that
about.
weird space where like it's too easy. Like I could go on and on, and even just the whole thing with my partner, and like it just by my nature, like it's like I can't change that quality. If a person's interpreting what I'm saying as if it's some like sexually driven act, like that's out of my control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like, and to me, I get offended with like the fact that you think that like I can think of that caliber. I'm like, dude, come on, love,
Yeah.
love, like pure love. And I'm not gonna front. I'm still working on that as an individual because I was not always. I'm not gonna front act like I was always like that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not. Like very up, literally up until maybe like 2 years ago.
Right, because again, it's the recognition. We're coming out of a hypersexualized society that is like forcibly like generated, and like whether like it or not, like it's like we like it or not, that's the reality, and like that's gonna have serious consequences with like the development of a generation. You know
And
what I mean?
it already has. This is so off key, bro. I'm so mad. I'm not gonna say it. I am gonna say it, bro. Sexy Red fucking made a fucking a remix to Michael Jackson's "I'm Bad" song, or Beat It. No, she did Beat It, and she sexualized the entire fucking song.
Yeah,
And I was so upset. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
watch it. I just seen it. I was just like,
I'm scared.
I was just like, bro, and it's not even her, and even if it is her, whatever. It's the media, because that's gonna trigger people, and that's so anyway. So,
Yeah, it's a whole man. It's
Off
so
track, but
it's
yeah.
so wild. The whole thing is just so wild about just even the inversions of symbolism. You know what I mean? And just the games that are being played to like weaponize minds against themselves, and then like everything's a minefield when you're trying to like okay, how do we heal this psychopathic nature? It's like, oh, an emotional explosion because the person thinks that they understand emotions, but it's so trauma based.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so reaction. It's like, my intuition is telling me I need to be afraid of my neighbor.
You know what? I ain't gonna hold you. And that's why I love the Lord, because he helps me navigate. No,
You know what I
seriously,
mean?
it's hard out
It's
here.
wacky, man.
It's
so
hard out
wacky.
here.
Yeah, it's out of control.
It's hard out
Yeah,
here.
it's a crazy social experiment, man. Like we're getting a lot of generative data getting into the cosmic mind. You know what I mean? Just like, okay, maybe we figured the pattern out a little bit better because like like this hyper density of just insane interactions. Oh, wait, something's wrong. You know what I mean? It's like,
But it's nice
finally,
people are recognizing that something's wrong. But you know what? Actually, it's not. No, people have always. Let me stop. People have always recognized that something's wrong, but it's being publicized.
It's just even all the prophecies of like all the like lost nations. You know that like again, and that the whole conversation about genocide. It's like, oh wait, oh, archaeologists confirmed that all of the same things that are happening now were going to be the inevitable outcome, and it's like, darn it! If only we like embrace cultures and plurality. Darn it!
I believe we are coming back to that.
So, yeah. Well, hey, that's what this is all about, baby. You know
And that's why I appreciate you. Like, so when I met you, I didn't tell you what I was doing that night. So I'll tell you now.
It's definitely worth questioning.
I'll tell you now what was going
Yeah,
on prior to me.
You're not too far away, so it's like okay, maybe he was just having a nice little walk down to the lake.
I was outside. I think I described it to you as trying to figure out who I am in the midst of being attacked by something that I feel like is not me. And then I stumbled into Buffalo after. So what I was doing, I was literally roaming around for 2 hours. I had just relapsed because my goal is to be abstinent until I have a life. And so I'm walking around. There's this thing in the gay community where you walk around and you fucking, what's the word? Cruise. And the thing is, I wasn't even cruising, but my mind was cruising. And I was literally just walking around and I'm praying, I'm listening to music, but I'm also looking for something that I think is the answer, but I know it's not the answer. But all at the same time, experiencing that and doing that. And then when I finally decided to go to Buzzmill, finally was like, Sire, like, go home. But didn't go home. Like, let's see who's at Buzzmill. Pull up the Buzzmill, you're there drawing this amazing art. And I'm like, oh, cool. This guy seems cool. And then
Yeah, you were pretty sexualized. I'd say that, man. You were giving off some interesting heat.
when I
So that and it was again the weaving and the dancing of that and the wrestling around that and like having fun with that art, but like again like really being able to exchange in a way. It's like, hey, brotherhood, what's that about? It's like, oh,
but did you recognize? So I'm so happy you recognized that energy that was on me. But then it's funny because at that moment I had to figure out because I genuinely knew that I wanted to cultivate a relationship and a friendship with you. So I was like, in that moment, I had to say, sit the fuck. Like there was moments where I'm like, sit down, little Sire. Like I'm being an adult right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I also like.
I mean, dude, I'm telling you, you're not the first gay man that came up to me in heat.
I'm not gay though.
No, I'm being playful, but I'm saying it's pattern recognition type of thing, and like again, like the weird.
And
again, the weird
and
sexualization.
And heat is hilarious. But you know what? If we're being real, I'm here. You said I'm not the first.
I mean, again, it's that whole thing about just the sexualization of anyone that's being open, like full stop. Like that's just it's just something you gotta accept. Is like this is the consequence of a sexualized society.
Boom!
You know what I mean?
Hey, there we go. That's why I like talking to you.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yes. So Logan, please listen to that. I'm gonna send it to you exclusively.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Take it from a handsome black man. Let me tell you, I wish the lights were a little bit better, but
Dude,
you'll see. We'll do it another time maybe, because I'm probably looking a little. From this angle, I feel like I'm looking a little puffy.
Honestly, but I like what you said because remember I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna clean up," and he was like, "Nah, let's do it raw." That's a little bright. I'm printing that up.
Yes, yeah. Let's just
Yeah,
this will just be a nice friendly introduction of many more to come. Maybe. It sounds like you're on the road soon.
yeah, and I'm super excited about that. Let's talk about that, dude.
Yeah, we'll pick up right where we left off.
Dude, oh my! First of all, I just released a song. It's called "I Have Faith," and I also released another song called "Good Morning, Good Morning, Good Morning." But as I'm going to New York,
Which one was first?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Nice, that's a great one.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And it's such a happy song,
Yeah.
but has so much pain behind it. It's such a happy song, and I'm gonna do the music video in New York, but I already started the music video here, and I'm just really excited.
And the second one was called "I Have Faith."
I have faith.
And yeah, that's the one you played for me, huh?
No, I played Flow Like. Flow Like is my first official Sire and that thing.
Man,
That's my foundation.
I gotta jump into your music. I gotta jump into music.
Uh,
Gotta make that time.
and you know what?
You know,
When you listen to it, I want you to put to the side Christianity. I want you to put that word aside when you listen to my music and just listen
yeah,
to the
because
words.
I feel like even that is really a good new approach to how we're just directing the conversation in terms of spirituality, of like how even that can almost immediately give the sense that this music is Christian music.
Yeah,
But
because
like it's like
that's what
you're
you
not,
said, and I
you're
was
not
like,
even
I
listening
was
to
like,
well, because yeah, you bring up some interesting points if I'm hearing it right. And of course, like we were at a picnic table outside of a bar, and like it was silent,
a coffee
but,
shop.
so like
yeah,
yeah, well, it's a 24-hour spot. It wasn't.
yeah.
You got it. You're in the But anyway, that whole point, you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it just blah blah blah, and I just had finished a conversation with this boy. I don't want to call him a young man, very young man, badass.
The D name.
Deshaun.
Yeah, I gotta say his name.
Well, but yeah, again, the conversation continues, and but it was like it was momentum within like a Christian thing. So, yeah.
Oh, so you had met a Christian pride to meet me.
Well, even that is just like he's just. I think it's that interesting thing about our generations of like seeing things as progressions, and like that none of them are the end, but and there's that critical point in any discovery process where you know that like that thing is definitely needing to come to an end, and you got to pivot into something else, and like you got to get off of that. You know that it's coming, so just shift over because this is going to be a colossal meltdown.
It's gonna
if
be
you
a
keep going in this
spicy
direction.
year. Mm-hmm.
You know, so all right, hey, great. You know, hey, how do I integrate grace gracefully? That's a question for the ages.
That's a question. That is a question.
Pondered by the sages. Am I right or am I right?
I don't know what pondered by the sages mean though. So I don't know if you're right.
You know, maybe that's just a poor education for the black people.
Oh wow. I mean, maybe. Well, actually,
That's just a racial joke, everyone.
No, it's not. No, it's
actually,
not. Because
here we go.
actually,
Election time.
our public schools in the Bronx suck.
Ugh.
You understand the things that my white friends have learned versus the things
Dude.
that I have learned is completely different.
Let me tell you about this real quick. Of like what seriously was so
America within itself, but
what was so traumatizing in my life was when I was in a lead mentor at an inner city school that was 4 blocks north of the high school that I went to, and I went to like a select like all boys school, and like going into the school just 4 blocks north, and like hearing the stories, and they have less than a 50% graduation rate, and like and then you talk to them and they're like open about like the sexual misconduct, definitely abuse that's happening.
They're open about everything else except for
it's out of control. It's out of control, and like then it's like we're giving money to the schools, and then it's like the superintendent's making millions. Meanwhile, like these textbooks are from the '80s, and they're bussing them around, and like all the pages are ripped out because of the anxiety of these people's daily existence.
I'm gonna drop a fact. Did you know?
Out of control. Sorry. go
Out
ahead.
of control. Did you know that in all low income neighborhoods, there are multiple alcohol stores versus the like middle class and like high class neighborhoods?
Of course.
Like I didn't know that until I was in high school, and it like blew my mind. Cause like it didn't even occur to me that like the cities were being like cultivated in that way from somebody on a higher stance. Like
Yeah.
that's not like a small
Again,
mind thing, you know
Yeah,
what I'm
of
saying?
course.
Like,
That's the whole thing, man. That's the whole point of like the dimensions of being able to get out of an inner city situation and like for you, like how fucking miraculous it is for you to get out of that. Of like that it took a miracle of life for you to be the exception to that. And like that what shaped a lot of my experience was like really seeing the polarity and like the obvious caste system that we live in and like then again it's like the obnoxious expressions are the ones that are reflected of like these are the reasons why these people are impoverished and this is why we need to punish them. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my god, it's like yes, harder. You know? Psychologically
they're just trying to control.
anyway, dude, yeah, psychologically and emotionally. Anyway, I don't want to be. I'm being playful in a way where it's like, dude, it's so obnoxious what's going on that like you can't. There's no other way of even talking about it anymore than like knowing that it's so past that point. Anyway,
It is. No, it is.
that's fun. I spun off with that. This is more of my own interview, so I apologize.
That's why you're in my home. I don't really hang out with people who aren't of the caliber who can like have the depth of conversation.
Well, yeah,
You know, like I mean, I do hang. You know, but like your state.
right, my man.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So it brings me right back to brotherhood. Huh? We're at that point in this conversation, and it was about the things that were going on with your bed.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Do you want it? Oh no, you can't fit it.
Oh yeah, but like, so what are you gonna do by Sunday?
Oh, can I be completely honest? I'm not worried about it. You know, as a believer, I am. I'm taught to live, not only live in the moment, but to give all my worries to the Lord. And I have plans, but my plans never go as I plan it. So
And you were thinking about going back to the Bronx, huh?
I'm not thinking. I am going back to, and I'm not just going back to. I'm going to New York City. Like I'm going to be everywhere. I am like I'm a bird.
Yeah, that's a bold move, man.
I am a bubble. My
So-
life is a fucking bubble.
So how are you gonna be getting back there?
You know me.
Like, how do you plan on getting back there?
How
Just
you-
one step at a time?
No, I mean how any other person would get back there.
Oh, so you're just flying back?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought that was gonna be a whole story too. But that's all right. Hey, some
there's-
things are
there's
better and simple.
There's a story, but I don't want to get
So
too
when?
much.
So then,
out.
when are you flying back to New York City?
When?
Yeah.
I will say soon. Never let the next person know your exact move, but I will say soon.
Okay. Fair enough.
Soon. However, I will be in Austin for South by Southwest. I'll be performing.
Yeah.
Excited.
Where at?
I don't remember the name. I will be performing with my big friend Nato. And yeah, we actually perform with him. So I'll be staying in Austin a little longer than I plan to. So I plan to be out beginning of March, but God just be. So that's what I'm saying. Like I can say one thing, but
Oh damn! So you got a couple more weeks because South by Southwest is
yeah,
mid-March ish.
I'm in no rush. I finally.
So you're gonna be just roughing it, huh?
I wouldn't call it roughing it. I'm gonna call it gracing it.
All right. So what's that gonna look like?
Gracing is gonna look like being out in nature and dancing and finishing songs. I still got a bunch of studio sessions that I have recorded. Doing a
Yeah.
music video.
Hell yeah!
Teaching dance class. I have dance classes this month. Like
So
God
what-
has blessed me with so much. Like this apartment shit ain't
So
nothing.
where are you doing these dance classes?
I Ballet Austin, but Ballet Austin is where I teach. then I like the independent contractor.
So are you gonna be like staying with people, or are you gonna just be like seriously 100% committed to like sleeping on the streets right now?
Oh, you talking about right now in Austin?
Yeah. If you're out by next week, I'm just curious what that looks
Honestly,
like. Are you
like I'm not out by next week because we have no idea what's gonna happen. I thought I was gonna be out here beginning of February.
Oh, so what did okay? So you're just gonna
Nothing is definitely.
okay. Yeah, well, you're really pushing the limits of that, man. That's awesome. And you got your stuff together, and when the time comes for you to go, you're going.
Yeah.
That's a wild move.
They
Yeah.
also, it's not like I'm not taking a hit. Like I'm well aware that I am taking a hit. But that hit has nothing to do with the message that has to get put out. I'm not just lollygagging around. Like I'm putting money into my music, into my dance, into music videos, into my family. Like I'm not just like using my, like no, I stopped paying rent so I can do what I said I want to do. Like he called me to be a leader, so I have to sacrifice these things, and I'll fucking take care of the money later.
So, like, what's your next step then? Like, what are you trying to build into? Like,
The ultimate goal.
Now this is happening.
The ultimate goal is ministry. Ministry to take care of literally what you said, to take care of the people who are down here who need literature. And my goal is to do that for artists, for normal people, whoever you are, family, anybody that's connected to my tribe. That's my goal. Is a huge empire because in the Bible it says that we all have nations. Not we all. Priests have nations, and I know I have nations connected to my.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's a huge conversation about even just like a plurality with the concept of nation, like nationhood.
Yeah,
and just again like more of that next sensible movement with the nature of tribalism and like just yeah, and like cultures and etc. Man, but I don't want to get again like it can definitely become very dictatorial, you know.
I can be a little. You know, it's crazy. Someone told me. I'm not sure if it means the same thing, but like, sorry, you're over here. I can see you being a dictator.
Yeah,
And I think dictator is. I don't like the term dictator. I like leader. You know, like because our leaders now ain't shit. And you know how they had like the Black Panthers or even in like the little hippie tribes, but there's always that one person. Yeah, they have cult leaders and stuff, but drag all of that. Our actual leaders ain't shit.
Yeah, this is 2026. You know,
Like-
it's a different time, and like we're a different people, and like we're the first people born out of the internet, and like you're gonna be trying to tell me that this is just like a childhood phase, and they're gonna snap out of it, and they'll get a 401k, and everything will be fine. But they're gonna learn. There's children after all, and it's like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's an old story that I think is run its course, you know. So I mean, it's again, it's a long road to get to that point because like, it's that you have to really be challenged in life to actually rise into leadership in a genuine way.
And child, I've been challenged. I'm still being challenged. I was challenged before your ass got a tape today. Ooh.
What did that look like?
Ooh. That's another conversation.
Well, again, it's you keep calling me child.
Oh, honestly, it's a culture thing. It's a culture thing. It's a black culture thing.
But you know, this young man over here, he's 27 years old, and this old pup here, he's a 34, and let me tell you, that's a long road.
No, yeah.
Between there and there, and yeah, it's again like time really slows down in all the good ways when every decision is recognized and has consequence. And oh boy, like when we come closer to that, like do we actually really like have to make like again like we have to make those hard decisions about being really fucking honest with ourselves. Or like it's just a big chaos spiral of like, oh, what's the next theatrical, dramatic,
the truth
display? It's like where do we find balance in it? What does it look like to come into relationships with people?
I think it's this.
Yeah.
This is literally our second conversation, as I said earlier. And like Yeah, I think it's this. It's exactly this. It's literally like your platform, my platform.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, I'm trying to bring it back to the story now because now we've caught up to now, and at least with this apartment. But I know that the story was still pretty young about when you even got to Austin in the first place. I don't think we even ever got out of Hawaii.
No, we didn't. So the question is how I get from Hawaii to Boston.
Yeah, what did that look like?
It's about to get real spiritual. It's about to like literally just be about the Lord.
All right, everybody, get ready for that.
Yeah, you know.
Ready, everybody, get ready.
Get ready for that one. No, yeah, I had it.
Hey, can you put that ashtray a little closer? Because I want to get ready for this.
He said, "Cause I want to get ready for this right now. You get that. I'm gonna grab me a cigarette."
No, I'm playing with you, but I'm definitely ready for this. And man,
You ain't
I'm
playing.
loving the pace of this story because this is all tied to the first question anyway. So, for anyone keeping score, we're still on track. It's just a different type of.
Isn't that on the track?
It's a different type of approach, I'd say. We're doing different things today. You know, yeah, in a different tone.
Actually, peaceful. That's how I got here.
In a different tone, Saturn conjoins Neptune at the 0 degree of Aries today. And that's a very interesting phenomenon.
We were talking about that.
How beautiful and poetic.
Pardon me, I have to use the loop.
All right, let's pause it then. There we go. We're right back.
So,
Things are interesting around here today.
so I met my amazing friend, eternally up, and
His name is eternally up.
as of right now, it is because I'm not sure if he wants to be disclosed or not. So he's gonna go by. He's gonna call him eternally up.
Okay, cool. Because you mentioned it before, and I wanted to ask, he's like, oh, is he a dead friend? But now I gotcha. Like,
Nah, he just stay up. I met this amazing friend. Fuck that. God put this amazing friend in my life, and my entire life changed. Like, so I had my first spiritual awakening on mushroom, right? I was already like praising the Lord, hallelujah. As a kid, I like grew up Baptist, and I went to Hawaii, and then I like got super spiritual. Like,
so when did you do mushrooms?
At the age of 22? I mean, I did mushrooms multiple times, but this was the time where like it hit. Like this was it. This was it.
So when was the first time you did mushrooms?
Not long before that. Honestly, Hawaii was the first time I did mushrooms.
Okay,
I
then
did
you were
acid
building-
in New York.
But you were building a relationship with the mushrooms, and then you had like a sort of a blast off type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hawaii too. That's really nice.
It was beautiful. No, it was absolutely beautiful. Kids do not. I do not condone this with kids under the age of 18. Honestly, 21. But disclaimer.
Yeah, I think waiting longer for most things in life is actually better, and I know that's such an old thing to say, but
No,
especially in
it's
this
real.
overstimulated world
It's
where
real.
like everything is about experiencing it as quick as you can, and then diluting the ability to really experience it. And then it becomes like a preconditioned idea of what your relationship is with any substance. And if you don't come into it with reverence, then it desecrates the whole thing. And then if you think you're having a sacred moment, then you're like deceiving yourself. That's my spiel.
I don't know what you mean by that on that last part, but
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like we'd probably be on the same page. Maybe I have to break it down a little bit more.
I think it's fine. Let me get to Hawaii to Texas. So I meet this dude. So,
Really, if you're taking something such as that and you don't have the right intention, and you're going into it and thinking that you're having a connection with the divine, then you're deceiving yourself.
got it.
So it's like the intentionality about it.
Eternal intention.
So yeah,
Got it.
I just wanted to clarify that before
Okay.
we moved on.
Good. Nice. That was good.
All right.
That was good. Yeah, bro. I mean,
Okay, cool.
That was
So
good.
you're picking up where we just left off? Yeah. All right.
yeah, because you like have to close it out. That's not
No snags,
no snags. I've never heard that term. No snags. Okay.
Do you know what snags are?
No.
Well, like
I know like you snag something.
Yeah, or like you're walking on a path and
Mhm.
something's catching on the thing and it's ripping it apart. And then it
Ah.
goes in. So like,
I mean, I
no
like
snags.
that. No snags. You like that.
There you go. The one I get.
No snags.
Right, well,
I
you
am
heard it here first.
no snags. Actually, they heard it from you.
All right. Back to the story, man.
I had this huge. I met this friend to do this music video. Did this music video, and he's a believer also. And literally, like words can't even describe it. Like my entire identity changed. Like I woke up one morning and I just heard this voice in my head saying, "I'm straight. I'm straight. I'm straight. I'm straight."
Praise
I'm
the Lord.
straight."
Praise
I
the
swear
Lord
to
about
everything
that.
I love. It was a
Hooray.
random moment, bro. And in this moment, I conceptualized it to sexuality. But as I've grown now, it's about my path being straight. And that's what got me to Austin. So I literally went from Hawaii to Las Vegas to back to Hawaii, then came to Texas. It was like a couple month journey before figuring out it was Austin, Texas is where I was supposed to be.
You know what they say, no deviations, all confirmations. You know what I mean?
I didn't know they said that.
That's what they say. Some people say that sometimes. Yeah, but yeah, just walking that path and being honest about what you're really driving for. And then again, it becomes that whole thing like, okay, let's test it. Like, how really devoted are this to this are you? And are you willing to make compromises and see yourself?
I was. You know, I had to let go of my entire Hawaii life, which was really hard. And everybody thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was
You
crazy.
had it good, huh?
I
And
did.
you could stay there as long as you
I
wanted.
could have because my mother is amazing.
And you were doing dance classes and
I was
everything.
doing dance classes. I was starting to make music.
Wow.
I had a community.
So enriching that you had that, man.
I was
So
very blessed.
you were ready to really get out of the nest, but you know that it's always there. Or is it?
It actually is. Praise God. And you know what? I deserve that because I've been through fucking hell. I've been through hell. And there are times where I'm like, yo, I could just go back to Hawaii and say fuck everything. But it's not enough.
Well, as they said, you know, on that like, you know, spiritual dimension of life, you know, to whom much is given, much is expected. You know, and like that's the whole task, in my opinion, of like really applying the insight that we've gained from the traumas that we've experienced and like choosing to do the right things for ourselves and like starting from that place of self-love and then like recognizing what healthy relationships are, you know, and like being able to forgive our past and like move on and like not feel accountable for the actions of other people, you know what I mean? And like even again like the shaping of the idea of what a leader looks like and like in many ways, in my opinion, the only way for it to really get to that place is that it rises from those places itself. So yeah, it's again it of course, like, you know, you have to face those demons and really confront them and have a right relationship with them because otherwise it takes over.
And you know what? You say relationship and I say dominion over them. Because of, you know, a lot of quote unquote hippies would say like have a relationship with your shadow side. But I'm stepping into a different identity and
Whoa.
knowing that like I got dominion over these motherfuckers.
You know, it's like it always, when I think about this, also, just for context, I'm talking about it from the perspective of the eight bowls concept out of Zen Buddhism,
I don't know anything.
where it is exactly that. Like, first you have to identify it, and then you have to track it, and then you have to capture it, and then you have to domesticate it, and then you have to, it's the ox, it's the bowl, and then you have to show it its utility in a healthy way that gives stability, and then the bull is free, but it chooses to be in relationship in a healthy way because it sees the value of it outside of its wild nature.
Well said.
You know,
Well
so
said. On
that's
the other side of the collective. Well said.
yeah, dude. And it's again, it's that whole thing.
I'm loving the plurality of the conversation. Like who we are. I'm worried about like being in the moment, but I am also like tuned into like the people who I know who are going to listen to this, and like we are like the perfect yin and yang for the conversation we're having for what the future is actually going to look like.
Yeah, man. Again, that's why this whole interview series is even generated. It's really about the relationship and like the continuation of the conversation, because like it doesn't stop, and it just is continuously moving, and like even it just begins to set the framework, excuse me, around the relationship, even though like obviously you're still in a place of exploration and trying to like really figure out your dynamic, you know what I mean? And you're taking those risks that I think a lot of people aren't willing to confront. And again, that's where that whole conversation around demonism comes in, because like in only one way are we able to really wrestle these and see the value of doing it at a young age, because then for the rest of your life you have a union with these parts that are inseparable, and like no amount of suppression is ever going to deny that fact. So that's what I'm hearing. You know, that's what I'm saying. You know,
Hmm.
and maybe, yeah, maybe you are a songwriter, huh? You know,
I'm
just in the space that the conversation takes place. You know,
He's
so you keep referencing your beliefs, and I'm curious exactly how you structure your beliefs.
first gonna say that I keep because it's like I have to, not because someone's telling me, but because I know if I was left to my own devices, the person I would be.
So what?
So and now to go into the second part of that,
Take your time.
how I structure my belief is Yahusha, aka Jesus, saved me from a path of pridefulness and over sexualized mindset, even down to me being in foster care and going through prostitution. Like he carried me, and I held on to him during that entire process. And I know I wouldn't be alive today without him. So even in times people like, dude, like you're doing stuff too, like take the credit for yourself. Cool. I don't take the credit when I'm by myself. But when I'm speaking on a public matter, people need to know what's going on in the background, and this is what's actually sustaining me.
Because it ain't just luck. You know, it is a conscious act to choose the right way. And then again, like, you know, not everything is as it seems, because we live in a perverted reality where we're like losing sight of the true nature of Jesus, and it's become a mythology upon itself, where like there's some warped philosophy in which like the war that's going on is a righteous and holy war. You know what I mean? And that there's like some justification and rationalization that is like so far outside of like the actual reality of life. You know, and like again, like the sorry, man, I can talk on and on, but like again,
Let
like
them know.
the celebration of the name Jesus versus his teaching. You know,
Yeah,
is that pretty much where you're at with it?
yeah. And I'm learning more and more. You know, like the sanctification process is long, and getting to know who I am is long because it's so intricate. But yes, essentially, yeah.
So you've chosen after our interaction on Thursday that you're celibate until you find your wife.
Oh no, so that's always the choice. I broke that already, and I broke that with self masturbation. And like even down to that, I don't want to do that. Not that. Anyway, yeah. So that's the goal always.
Good for
I
you.
broke it 2 weeks ago. I was doing really well for some time, and then I broke it 2 weeks ago.
You know, that's a conversation that I think a lot of people aren't really even willing to touch on, and I think it's like such a hyper relevant
Somebody has
conversation,
to.
because like you know it's a hard thing to break outside of the hypersexualization of society, and like coming to really accept the nature of people that are genuinely empathic or otherwise like on some quality of the autism spectrum, where like they're picking up on the energies of people, um undercurrent, you know what I mean? And like again, it's it's a whole other thing around like how people are so suppressed in their creative energy because like they are so confused about their sexual nature and their idea of like what romance is and what intimacy is, and then like this is like walking around and having to be interfaced with as like a societal construct, you know, and like yeah, I mean, we could go into all different directions, man. I definitely do not want this to be my own interview of myself, and like I appreciate you even like opening that up because I just would the point that I want to make with that of like even if you're feeling shame of like how can you first off just embrace the fact that you're an animal and that like you've had these traumatic experiences from your childhood, you know, through early adulthood, and like that sexualization is sort of bound within
DNA.
yeah, and like
DNA. And honestly, just to answer that question, like about the whole shame situation, that's also why I keep bringing up my belief. It's because my belief is my safe haven. Like I don't have like there are times where I do where the feeling of shame passes through me, but it's not coming from my Lord. He died for that.
mhm.
And when you actually read your word and are a real believer, you get to a point where it's like, no, it's not okay to like just be doing stuff. But there's a grace that is there. And if you're really in relationship with him, that shame shouldn't touch you at least for you know what I'm saying? Like if you wallow in it, then that's on you. But you have authority over it. That's how I deal with that by knowing like he is not looking like he's not looking at that. He knows what happened to me.
Dude, you're definitely an artist of life, and I would see that as part of your identity, you know, and like that even like music is a means of self-discovery, but it isn't a means to an end, and like other things are coming in your development in that sort of way, and you know, it sounds like even right now with where your mind's at, like the bigger picture aim is ministry.
Yeah.
Like how do you see yourself in that position, and like how much is your idea of ministry tied to community?
I'm still learning. And I could answer that question, but not at this time because I'm still
Yeah, and again, it's like
that's a loaded question.
yeah, that's a question that's really worth contemplating because
Yeah.
I feel like
Because I am yeah, like I have that. That's why I'm not gonna like say it because like I have been contemplating it because he like I'm still growing this certain thing. Anyway, my point is
I feel like that's definitely the yin yang in our dynamic as well. Like you know, your ministry has to come to terms with community in some sense, and like from my side, like my community has to come to terms with ministry in some sense. You know what I mean? And it's really a big question about like you know what yeah, hooray, we've come to the arrival that like there's no point to anything and it's all for creation, like oh yay,
it's so
okay,
much deeper than
hooray, you know what I mean? And like okay, and like how do we in that arrival, like how do we recognize that beauty is actually a real indication of healthy harmonic expression, you know, like again, like all the trauma, there's so many layers to like what needs to be addressed before like that utopic vision would ever even exist.
yeah.
But I think that's again like the little steps and being open to how creation takes place.
Looking at saying like sorry, dance like how do we do that? It's just like love. Like straight up love. Like there have been times where I've wanted to demonize so many things and God's like, nope, that's not gonna work. You gotta look at it from the lens of love. We are at a point where everything has to go from love.
Because you can all have patience for it otherwise. You know what I mean? And like what else are we doing it for? That's how I feel about it. So yeah, what is your idea? Like what are the steps you're taking towards your own ministry?
Purity. And when I say purity, I want to show the young people in my age group and people who are younger than me that you can be set aside Like, I want to get to a point where I'm abstinent. I want to get to a point where I'm not smoking. Not that I think it's a bad thing, but we were not born with cigarettes in our mouth. We were not born with a drug in our mouth. We were not born with alcohol. We were not born with so many things, and I know that it is possible to return back to being set apart from the world.
You know, it's even in that is such an amazing conversation about embracing our animal nature and like the lost philosophies of even like these native lands,
These
people,
native lands.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
I
on
do.
a real level of
I
like,
do.
you know, even like the sanctifying of animals and like how much they learned about the psyche through the observation of these animals and like it just even opens up
Like, imagine who we could be if
But-
we were, you know what I'm saying?
But this is the point I'm making is just like even in your own journey of like, you know, mushrooms really were a really powerful relationship.
Yeah.
So like, but like, so you won't be able to access where you're at without the like inclusion of like plant medicine, mushroom medicine.
Weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just for the listeners out there.
Yeah, you know, I'm not condoning it, but like there definitely were like duh. Like
So you're more in a place right now that you're really seeking like detox and purification.
yeah, balance. 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 Balance.
Yeah.
Balance. I shouldn't be smoking more than I'm meditating.
Is that what you're doing?
Oh yeah. Think about it. A little quick morning meditation or one at night or one at the it's way more than like me smoking. I just smoked how many cigarettes?
Yeah.
And yeah, we're like constantly meditating, but intentionally meditating.
Yeah, I think we're having some fun today. I think it's good to indulge a little bit. That's how I feel. That's how I feel with you. And like, yeah, I also can see like, you know, like this also is like a reflection of just like different things that you're going through within yourself. And like, it's just like, again, like you can't rush the process, and you gotta just meet it for where it's at. And like, I could go on and on about my own like real renunciation of you know, like carnal indulgences.
Yeah.
And like, but there just comes that place where it's also like the purity also has a like a toxicity to it.
100%.
You know what I mean? And like,
No.
it's being able to
100%.
return and reintegrate and get into the chaos and
Get your hands dirty.
yeah, and maintain that consciousness throughout it. You know, and like not be so
Maintain
quick
consciousness throughout it.
and not to be so quick to like jump to projections and stuff. And again, I think like for me, where I find everything is just like the ability to just hold transparency as a standard.
I have to. If I don't, I I've not really sound like a fool, but I kind of like get in trouble in my spirit.
Yeah,
Like it no longer feels good to be fake.
yeah. It's fun. Like it's fun to be able to like exercise different social abilities, but like there's a real fine line between that and becoming a actual psychopath. You know what I mean?
I have touched psychopath.
And again, like if you're holding it in transparency and you're really coming from like relation from yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can have, and then it's being able to have fun with it because like it can otherwise if you're getting into some like sticky places, like if you're not having a good sense of humor with it or just like a good energy, it can get real dark and cold real quick with people.
It's true. My friend eternally up says that. He's like, bro, if you like, he makes me laugh at the things that I do. Or like, say, bro, if you can't laugh about it, then like, and like, he's taught me to laugh about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's hilarious. Like,
Well, man, I know that there's even more conversation off camera about a lot of different things as well, just about bigger, but we can get down to that another time. But it's always interesting to hear like that sort of perspective, 100%, and like it's definitely worth it to go into like, okay, what is the bizarre, like what does it really feel like to get into the bizarro world with life? You know what I mean? And just like really be seeking the experience.
yeah.
And then it's like, okay, like how do I really like reset that momentum and then start over with like generating like, okay, now that I know that like I really have you know, I have an ability to make things real, you know?
That part,
Yeah.
that part, and honing in. That's why just bringing that back to how you said you felt with like how you felt being in my home. Recognizing you have that ability and like not letting it do better. That's the great part. That's what I'm learning.
And yeah, it's a big question mark for you about what's going to transpire over these weeks. You know,
I'm honestly, it's not really a huge question mark. For being completely honest, like I have a lot of, I'm not sharing a lot of the answers, but like the path has been made straight. Like I like, there's like a vision board in my mind, all of the things that are already in motion and happening.
cool, man.
Yeah, like
Okay. Well, I know we don't have to get into all those details because I know that that's really hard to be able to explain because it's still in process. You know.
more, not to be that person, but more vegetables. More vegetables. You gotta protect. You gotta protect.
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta protect the energy.
you got to keep a healthy outlook and like again, like you know, it'd be so easy to fall into like a victimhood mentality, but you got to begin like being dynamic and buoyant. You know.
Brilliant. Fluid. Stay liquid.
Yeah, otherwise, like, yeah, things can get dark real quick. I know that you probably can feel that sometimes. But yeah, you're trying to wean off the smoking. Is basically where you're at.
Trying to, all things that if I can't say no to within 5 seconds, I don't do it.
So it seems like
Self-control.
definitely you're at least for the near future, it's pretty open ended. You have a good idea of where you're headed.
Yeah.
So like, there's again like that's more down the road of a bigger concept. But we can always again like that's where things can revisit. But in terms of your story, it sounds like you're still in process of coming to Austin, and you've been talking about your friend. So how did you get to Austin? All those years ago.
Excuse me. Pardon me. Me and my friend fasted a bunch, like a lot, cause like parasite cleanses, we read a bunch of the Bible and listened to a bunch of sermons.
Was this out in Hawaii?
This is in Hawaii. We spoke to counselors, and we wrote down all the places, we prayed about it, we weighed it out, and my decision was Austin, Texas. That's how I got to Austin, Texas.
All right. So
I've never visited here before.
So you guys were just like trying to get a feel of all the different options and where you wanted to set route.
Yeah, it was like where are we going for us to make music? Because me and we're a group also. So it's like where are we going to cultivate this music and this experience?
So where's he at?
He lives not too far from here, literally like 5 minutes from here.
So you guys are still doing it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Hell, haven't yeah.
Hell, all right.
Has been yeah. It's lit. It's so lit. It's like
That's
this.
what I'm talking about.
This is actually.
Keeping it dynamic so much, man.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea. And actually,
I think I do, but I think you're right. I really don't, man. I mean, you're living definitely. You're definitely riding that wave. It sounds like you're doing pretty good with it so far. Yeah, man. That's good to ride that. So making music is just the next 100%.
tapping into the full artist, like the full creative directing, choreography, writing, music, all it's like that.
Is he also like let's go? Let's
Oh
do this?
yeah, he's a producer, he's an engineer, he's a vocalist, he's a singer, songwriter, he's a graphic designer. Like
Yeah.
it's he's
Yeah.
that's his art right there.
Eternal intentions. Nice.
That's why when I saw you writing, drawing, that's what attracted me because your art reminded me of his art.
And he has your name on here too.
Yeah, so it's cool. Yeah.
Are these the other artists that he represents or something?
No, so this is my business card on this side, but this is also ours. So we're collective.
No, dude, my bad.
No, no, it's good.
Dude, that's pretty amazing. I'd love to. I don't. Yeah, again, like depends on where, but it so far. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, all right. Thanks. I'm gonna definitely check out that website. And again, like I think there's so much power in collaboration and really being able to be like, okay, like as men, this is definitely like we're getting to know each other, but this is a great place to start. Like, what are we trying to get in motion? And like, there's definitely people that are interested on the other side of having that conversation. But we gotta start by like knowing what we're talking about. You know what I mean? So if that's where you guys are all at, honestly, and like you're like really wanting to like walk the straight like the good that good path, but like also like
I think it's
learning-
possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
we're
like have
also
a balance.
split.
You know, you can have a balance.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, and that's the whole thing. Like, there's so many things to consider, but like if we gotta like maybe loosen the grip a little bit more.
I've been told that, and honestly, because of what I've gone through, and because of how I've grown up, this is what I tell myself. Everybody has different expectations for their own stuff. That's fine. That's other people's lives. But for Sire, the grip has to be tight. I've gone through way too much. I've gone through way too much programming as a child to where if I don't have a grip,
100%.
I can end up in jail.
What?
Does that make sense?
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. I hear what you're saying now, 100%,
Yeah.
and I can understand why you would see it that way.
Yeah, because like
And like, I also like again like knowing. Have you ever seen Naruto? That series?
watch the whole thing.
Yeah, so you know where I'm going with that with Fox, and like again, like that whole imagery. I watched that with the girls, and like again, like so badass to be able to watch that with like 8 and 10-year-old. You know, now they're 9 and 11, but that type of thing, man. It's like a really interesting, just like a deeper evaluation about like even like when we get to that final place of like seeing what we're holding so tightly to, like how much can we start to do it? Just again, like just hold it a little bit lighter.
Certain seasons, yeah.
But I hear what you're saying.
Certain seasons, yeah. But as you said, to whom much is given, too much is expected. If I'm carrying a nation, I can't be like the leaders do our now. That's why they're like this. They didn't have a grip.
See, this right here is definitely where the juice of the conversation is because like in my eyes of like the type of like space that I'm wanting to generate and cultivate is like the recognition that the only way for leadership to rise in healthy ways through collaboration and like the desire for like no one to hold. But again, like that is like that the leaders need to be displaying what trust means and accountability means and transparency means. And then like it's so again it moves so light because the problems are so much easier to absorb because like there's an understanding of like it's like understanding this is so out of control we need to like genuinely just fucking stop. Yeah, just stop.
Like actually be peaceful. Like
And they'd be like, there's plenty, there's this whole machine is totally in motion. Like, there's way more than enough. Like, okay, finally, everybody, take a deep breath. Like, thankfully, you've arrived to know that like your job is seriously, and like we could argue, like, oh my god, what about the healthcare workers? And it's like, God, the whole thing,
the whole thing
when
is
do you think it's gonna ever stop unless we start to approach it from a different angle? And like healing and the health is so misguided.
bro, I should show you all the supplements I have that don't require a freaking prescription that has benefited my entire. I'm so lucky with my bro to show me NAC and magnesium and vitamin D and vitamin C and I'm missing parasite. There's so many things that can actually heal people.
Dude, it's so crazy how people.
Like
It's so crazy how people aren't
black
aware
seed
that-
oil,
Oh,
bro.
you're right, man.
Enemas, I can go off, but I'm not. I gotta pee.
All right, you want to pause it? We can do it. We're still having some fun here. Take a little pause. Little. Felt like a little. We took it down a little bit. I think I feel like it's good. I think it's a good point in the story that you're sharing. I agree. And I love the fact that, yeah, like just spontaneously, like in the eyes of anyone else watching as well as our own, they're like, ah, cool. Like, yeah, this is also part of the journey.
Yeah, and you know, they probably pausing it, going to do things, you know, coming back, going to roll up, or whatever the case may be, putting the kids there, whatever it is, like, but that's how I watch my videos sometimes. Like, I think this video is, anyway, we are connected to people who are like us, as you said earlier, and they're gonna love it.
Because, you know, one of the reasons I love this idea of the interview series is like when I'm really just dialed in and enjoying my art and I'm giving myself the freedom of it, that, like I love being able to listen to interviews and hear what's going on, like outside of the outside of what the hell is the idea, and like that being able to just explore how like maybe different messages can be shared more from that grassroots place, but not like trying to hide anything either, but just like again, like this is a slow grow. We got to enjoy that process.
Yes.
Things go quickly when they go quickly, and always being ready for that, but also like being like, okay, let's just see really for a second where we're at.
Yeah.
You know?
Like this conversation helping me see where I'm at also in life. Um, you being here in my life in this moment, you have no idea how like much of a what was the word? Mm. This is like a prayer come true. Like
It's
you
beautiful.
being here, interviewing me in my apartment before I go back to New York, as I'm releasing music and going through everything. Like this is literally what I see it as a prophecy being fulfilled.
Well,
And I'm so grateful. Like this is my second podcast I've ever interviewing that I've ever done.
you know, that's what we're all about here. You know, we're just really about validating and
I like
confirming.
it. I like it. I like validation. And I really do. Like I try not to like obsess over it, but it reminds me that I'm on the right path.
Yeah, and it's just again like, and it's a, it's an open conversation, and it requires participation. But hey, no pressure at all. But let's hope that we can just put attention towards what we really think is genuinely meaningful and breathe life into that.
You gave me a little attention when we first met. And I only say that because
I give you a what?
attention, like this tension you talking about, I got you. So it was like, all right, cool. Like we should chat more about this on your show, right? And you were like, yeah. Like if you want to, you kind of did what you were talking about. Like if you want to, like if it happens, it happens. But for me, on my side of life, that was like, are you gonna step to the occasion?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
mean, cause
That's a side note. Just a side note.
we gotta like when do we start standing on what we're talking about?
It's
You
true.
know?
Nah, yeah, like literally, like
So this is an initiation in its own right for you.
yeah.
Well, man, it's an honor to put it in place for your life and the things that are really moving and relevant. Here's why.
They both out again.
I think it's super, what do we say? Very, very, very important to be able to get our story out there, and just even for the sake of getting it out of our own minds and having interaction, you know, like just even reframing the idea of therapy and bringing it more communal.
Connection.
Yeah, because it's just like, man, we're not far away. We're really not far away, everybody. You know, like
True.
it's just, you know, reset the nervous system a little bit. But again, like not everybody's there, and there's a lot of momentum behind a lot of stories. And again, that's a whole other thing about like how to generate momentum with the right people at the right time. Anyway, I'll give you some time. Yeah, you know, even in light of me holding these two right now, you know, this is a really rare time in my own life of just really letting it happen, and also embracing the fact that like I'm aware of consequences, so I feel like I have enough check with myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's not getting too out of control or out of reach.
Or being mature. That's the mature spirit. Also,
It feels like that's where you're coming into yourself.
and you are in a sense, a reflection of that.
I would say.
Yeah, you know, like I'm gonna be able to have this conversation with a lot of people I know, and bring more metal, and because you have more wisdom and you've been here longer. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, because even the point that you made of just like, dude, I'm filling a role for you in the way that I think is meaningful because of how many other men along my path have done the same, but in the space that they had available. So like this is even in that, just like I feel like I genuinely want part of my expression, the highest form of my expression is really being able to hold space. You know what I mean?
I do, and you're doing it.
Well, thanks, man.
No, seriously, man. Like, my house was not clean. My house was not clean.
And ladies and gentlemen,
A clean house is a clean mind.
sure there's a light on a couple boxes over here, and maybe there's a broken chair, but otherwise things are looking nice. And we even got a little rug. It's this is my kind of couch. This is my kind of couch. Yeah. So this we're bringing it right back to where it really belongs and where it really begins.
Hmm.
You know how poetic of the transition and the opportunity to have this space for this moment of reflection.
It's true. I'm supposed to be outside on the streets right now. We're going.
And you're still riding it. Like again, you want to test the illusion.
You want to test the illusion, and you know what? That's what it's been.
That's what it's been.
That's what it's been. Like test the illusion, test the matrix, but it's like, oh, you have to be out right now. No,
and
I don't. There's laws. I have rights. Cool. I'm not gonna drag it, but I'm not gonna be like an asshole either. Like I show love to my birthday, like that, you know what I'm saying? But like saying like, no, I'm not gonna let the fear of the system scare me. I'm not gonna let the fear of my credit getting messed up stop me from doing what I.
and it brings it right back to you're living the life of art. You know what I mean? And you're willing to take you're willing to take the risks to face the consequences at a manageable scale. And you're seeing the patterns within concepts and where that give and take is with risk. And then hopefully that cultivates a sense of wisdom in regards to like pattern recognition and like where's the give and take? Like how do you know the rules enough to break them in a like constitutionally protected way?
Well
You know what I mean?
said.
Because otherwise, like,
Well
what are we
said.
standing for around? You know,
Well
like,
said.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Judge my lady. I'll be here all night. That's right.
Oh, will you?
Well, yeah,
I know.
I do have plans. I have to actually meet with Deshaun
Oh,
at the new,
Love
but he's gonna be hanging out there for a while. Probably, I have a new art piece that I want to start. But
I do have a question for you. This isn't obviously, you brought me onto your show, but I'm gonna flip it a little bit and ask, why van? Why van? What got you to the van point?
well, I mean, that's a story that starts 12 years ago. Um, but today, through all the consolidation of experience and things, that there's a real fine balance between comforts and freedoms. Like I claim to be like a glorified homeless man, because like I find value in like wearing that as a badge of honor, of like, and like yeah, different by the grace of God and different movements within karmic blah 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 and this and that and all of these things. Like it's a long story, but like it gets to that point where like comfort is worth cultivating and maintaining because it makes things more efficient, and that like through that qualitative representation of efficiency do we have more time to make meaning with ourselves.
Mm. I hope y'all.
That's where it's at with the band, and of course like I
Woo!
mean,
Sorry.
yeah,
That was like, caught that. Catch that. Catch it.
yeah, that's where I'm at with the band.
The outside of it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty radioactive, man. Shout out to Abby if she's listening, wherever you're at. I have a little niece named Abby.
I thought Abby was the name of the artist because I have no idea.
I know that's I think it's Imagine Dragons. The only reason I know that is because Abby would love that song.
Imagine Dragons is great.
Sing it. Yeah, I mean she had a imaginary friend named Chemicals, and that's just like yeah, that's pretty badass. Pretty wild. Whole other conversation. Anyway, man, that's the whole thing about blood relatives. Just the pain, the shame of like losing that connection. But that's my own story, and it just builds upon that idea of community as family, and like just
What does community mean to you?
well, it definitely is tied now to like relevancy within the economy. So there has to be like different ways of interacting with like corporate concepts, but in healthy ways that also like captivate the interests of people in positions. You know what I mean? And like that's a whole other thing. And like so like it has, in my opinion, it has to start from artists that like they stand upon the work that they're creating. Like currently, this is where I'm at. It's like from that base place of like the interactions that I'm having. And have like a incubator of a concept where people are beginning the process of like lifestyle integration as a means of like proliferating their art and their works and becoming more collaborative, and then being able to generate from that place attention towards the arts, with the aim being that all the proceeds being generated from all the art is going into this larger vision that we're moving towards. You know? And like, yeah, that's what I feel like is the like cultural movement currently that has potential, and where I'm directing my attention towards. And like, of course, like to get obviously like it becomes more holistic with like the integration of agriculture and also animal husbandry, and then like regionalism for different areas that are able to grow specific things, and having more of a networking movement, and like just like not trying to make everywhere like a zone 5, you know.
Come on. Yeah.
So it's
Take
like
it back.
yeah, and
Take it back.
again, like that's in my eyes, like it just it allows for pressure to be released from the system that's overtaxed, and no pun intended, but obviously it's there for the taking. And to be able to alleviate that pressure so solutions can start to fill in those spaces. And um, I think again it's become so overly saturated and so corrupted that there is a return to simplicity and rationality
Yes.
over
Yes.
indoctrination and subordination.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing idea. Not idea, concept of communication.
Thanks, man.
That was well said. I love how you like put your words so straight.
You got that? You got that? Yeah, appreciate it. So that's like that's what comes up with talking with you. Like that these conversations are happening at different levels with different people.
There's levels to this shit.
And like that's I think where like even diplomacy as a concept is like a curious exploration of like how to meet people where they're at and bring them to a like a convergence point where other people are also trying to get to the same place. And like that's where like adaptability and like different qualities of resourcefulness, and like ethical and meaningful ways um comes more into view. But like again, it's always like I have as much as I have, and then I shit, and then damn, and then now what? It's like okay, now what?
Damn what? Damn what?
Well, speaking of life, let's get back to the life story. I just want to say we're sort of oscillating through the
Oh, you want to go
questions.
through the whole thing? All right.
Yeah, but I mean, because I definitely want to catch you up. I want to catch myself up with your own story and like where you've been coming from, and what the hell has been going on with Austin.
Austin has been a battle testing season.
7 years.
7 years since leaving Bronx to Hawaii was healing. Hawaii to Austin was battle testimony.
And you did that when you were 20.
Yeah.
So you were in Hawaii for 2 years?
I was in Hawaii for 5 years.
Oh, shit. So I mean that was really pressurized up until you were 15.
Yeah.
And for 5 years, from 15
From
to 20.
from nine to 20 was straight trauma and building and testimony. From 20 to 22 was healing and like, here you go, you can breathe. And then from 22 to 27, it's been battle test.
So for 5 years. I'm just getting the story straight.
I've been in Austin for 2 years. I was in Hawaii for 5 years.
Oh.
I've been gone from New York City for 7 years.
Oh. Shit. All right. Gotta catch that story.
It's okay when you go over
So
it. It all
now
makes
I got
sense.
you. So you've been in Austin for 2 years now. You were
Yeah,
in Hawaii for 5 years.
correct,
And then you left 7 years ago.
correct,
And that you left when you were 20.
correct. I left when I was 19.
Okay. That catches the story up. Yeah. All right. So the past 2 years, yeah, that gives a lot more space and it makes a lot more sense with like, sort of the fluidity in your movements right now.
Yeah, cause like I was living with eternally for the first year. We were living together. So this apartment was like letting go of that codependency
So how long you been here? So
for like 9 months. I think I've been in this apartment for 9 months. The other apartment I was there for a whole year.
and like did the tension build or something like that? And it was just like time for you to transition.
I mean, we're men. Two grown ass men can't like live together for like too long, unless you're in like a mansion or like a big place, not in a two-bedroom apartment. Not with what we're cultivating.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a wild ride there. And of course, like
It was dope. It was dope, and it definitely got intense, but it made us so strong for what we're about to do.
Oh yeah.
Like nothing's gonna break our friendship now.
Yeah, I mean, I want to sit down and have a conversation with him even. So well, maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Maybe next time it'll be me and him, and we'll be at a complete different location, some random part of the world.
Yeah, man. It's again, it seems like you're pretty open ended of how things are gonna go. So you've over these past 2 years in Austin, like how have you like what have you been doing to like make your way?
I have been working security jobs. I worked at a gym. I worked at Spectrum. Been like taking like regular hourly jobs while waiting to get hired for art and like release the music. So I've been releasing music, but to pay the bills, I was like working on other jobs. And then I got my gig at the dance studio after like a year finally. And yeah. And then I did try to do my own thing, like how I did in Hawaii, like, but it wasn't as easy as it was in Hawaii. 'Cause Hawaii is so pure, honestly. Not that it's basically good, but it's all perspective. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
competition. It's not as much competition in Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other conversation about the gentrification of Hawaii and like the movement of all the money out there and like
Just on the energetic level, like
yeah, like why people are even like obviously that's a like paradise place. It's a very unique area altogether in the world. It's a shame with the over militarization of it, but not to get into any of that either.
yeah,
But it's just sad, but
they're not even supposed to be a part of America.
yeah, man, the whole thing is out of control, definitely. But maybe to bring it back.
I'm just got upset. Sorry. Anyway,
Yeah. Well,
I thought
I have 1,000 questions about all of it, but I know that
I'm here for you.
you're really like journeying. You're
I'm
really
here
like
for it.
journeying through it.
This is literally like this is what I'm gonna do for my entire life. Let's talk about. You know how Buddha went around and fucking like taught everybody how to like meditate and shit, and like just that's what I'm doing with my life.
So that's sort of where you want to start your ministry from. Yeah, that's a real bold move because that's we're getting into the territory of
Avatar. No, I'm just playing.
well, like, those qualities of false prophets and like how prevalent they are and like how it's such a sticky territory to really be.
It is an extremely sticky territory, which is why you have to be coming from the Lord. Like you have to know your God. If you don't know your God, and if you're stuck in religious shit, if you don't have the ears to hear and eyes to see, then 100% it's sticky. And even if you do have ears to hear and eyes to see, it's still sticky. You're right. Either way,
So what do you like? What do you feel like you really are wanting to teach?
It's less about what I want to teach and more about what I want to express to the world. I want to really have it on earth.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with even the
And-
vibe of your space as sort of that type of example.
Yeah, because like
You know?
the teaching comes automatically. You know, like that's just like living life. Like I learn things just by looking at somebody walk or how they carry themselves. The teaching just comes automatically. So the teaching is not the intention. The intention is to bring something heavenly to the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's a tricky task because then we're getting into the territory of like sanctifying spaces. You know what I mean? And then like
Yeah,
how like in the dance of life and the chaos of the things that are going on, like how do we hold like the container and have boundaries around a sanctifying space
Mhm.
in the midst of also like all the things that need to be done. You know what I mean? And like those types of interactions and you know
This is,
integrations.
and this is why art is important. This is why I like teaching dance classes because these are times where you get to go into a different portal. This is why people like to go to yoga classes. This is why people like to go to church. This is why people like to have their little moon parties and shit. It's because you go into a different portal that is outside of this fucking world.
Yeah,
That's why this art is so like, anyway.
yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's part of that interesting phenomenon of like as you stated before, like your pursuit of purity in a sense currently, and like how that's so aligned with the age and the time that you're moving through, and like the validation of that path, and like how much it teaches about just like holism, you know, within the self, and like being able to like even just being able to maintain like healthy appearance, and like how beautiful that teaching is when it's coming from like a good intention, you know.
Yeah.
But like there comes a point that I can relate from just my journey of like the the integration of ideal is is the endless path upon the horizon, and like the accessing of that and not trying to shortcut it or force it, you know, but like that integration with the dance of life and like things that are going on and finding value and just even the messiness of family, you know, and
It's
like
beauty in it all.
yeah, like it doesn't need to be like blood on the walls to be a mess. Like there's beauty in chaos when we can like get over ourselves in those ways. You know what I mean? But that's again, man. This conversation goes into so many different spaces, and that's like I guess what that's my response to the things that you're saying. If at least like if I'm gonna try to put myself in your shoes, but like it's like that's the beauty of like really you know, there's 7 years between you and me, and like, this is what you're going through at your age at this time, and like, who am I to say?
Sorry.
You hear what I'm saying? Anyway, man, I can ramble for sure.
No, no. So, you call me crazy, but you know how we all have different sides of us. There was just a side of me that thought something very funny, and I was like, you know how you able to like, hey, like, quiet.
Tell me.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the rambling.
What was it? You said it was relevant.
It was the. I'm not gonna try and put myself in your shoes. And another part of me was like, yeah, nigga, you can't wear these shoes. Like,
That's where it's at then. Dude.
so I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, I'm like in the conversation right now, so
Yeah.
it like came out.
Yeah, I mean that's a wild sort of prophet demon type of thing. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm talking about, having grips on these shit.
Yeah, because the ego's a hard trip to get over, man.
Because you were fooled to think that that's not a spiritual thing.
But I think there's a lot of
Not you.
there's a lot of relevancy in even that you caught that voice within your head at that time that I was saying it. Because like I can relate very deeply about like it always brings me back to like the flight of Icarus. You know what I mean?
What's that?
It's just within Greek mythology and like Daedalus built a labyrinth on an island and the Minotaur and blah blah blah. Long story short, like the king throws him and his son Icarus in there, and then they get out of their labyrinth and they get away from the Minotaur, and then Daedalus makes wings out of albatross feathers and beeswax, and then like they fly from that island back to the city. But Daedalus like if you fly too high, the sun is going to melt your wax and you're going to fall to the sea. Or if you fly too low, then the waters are going to wet your wings and you're going to fall to the sea too. So you got it's like that real fine spot, you know. And like the indulgence to fly high and see from higher perspectives can also be an illusion, you know.
Yeah, you gotta ground yourself.
But that's again, man, like that's a trip to even get into within like our own psyches and like really test the limits of our own belief systems enough where we humble ourselves and we see like, damn, this actually isn't working. Like maybe there's a different attitude or different direction to take.
That's how I got here, honestly. I've dabbled into witchcraft. I've dabbled into Buddhism. Done, done the. I've tried a lot of different things. Like I've not. It says like not. I mean, seek and you start finding. I've saw. In my little 27 years, I fucking saw.
Here's one for you. It is not I who seeks the fool, but the fool who seeks me.
Never heard that one. That's never heard that. Where's that from?
It's just within like occult teaching, actually. Like it's just from all of those spaces of like it all serves a purpose to understand it within like synchronicity and like symbolism and reading. But like it's a teaching, and like if it's holding too much weight in our lives, then we're not learning how to integrate it.
Mm.
You know.
Mm.
That's a thought.
Yeah, mostly.
But now you've turned more towards Christhood and
Yeah, that
the
Christ
Christ mindset.
mindset. Yeah, that Christ mindset. Cause why not? I mean, people, but
Yeah.
just, I don't know. Like,
I have a book to suggest to you.
I'm not gonna promise I can read it because I'm still like trying to just get used to being more consistent with reading. Cause as you know, growing, I'm trying to get more. I want to read. You can tell me, but I'm not gonna promise.
It's called The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ.
Oh, lovely. I would definitely read that.
Yeah, I figured you could be into that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that's a wild ride about even the concept of Jesus' life between the age of 12 and 30, and like how much that shapes a person's identity. And like this person like channeled this book, and even just for entertainment purposes, it's just, like
totally.
opening up the mind of like maybe possibly it was channeled because like for whatever reason that information is being neglected, and it gives more insight about like maybe how Jesus developed.
I've never read by Dolores.
Yeah. Well,
Dolores Candy. She has one called Jesus in the Sea. Have you read that?
I don't think I have, but I love the idea of the Essenes. I don't think I've read that one though. But I read about I've read a bunch of different books that are redacted from the church.
Yeah, nah, dude, it's lit. But yeah, what's the book again?
I'll text it over to you, but it's called the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. And that book really
Opened your mind.
it really melted my mind around just like how much we're buying into the stories that we're told, and it's just like again like I play sometimes along with it. Like I love the Lord of the Rings. Like Frodo is such an amazing character and like the collaborative effort of many men like making something real and like doing their thing. Like that's such a great story. I don't believe that Frodo existed, but the symbolism and the meaning of him as a person and his character are things that I believe are worth emulating. Versus like trying to like fight an argument of like, dude, he lived, he's totally alive, you know, and he's coming back. And you gotta cheer him on.
Yeah.
You gotta cheer him on.
You do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
true.
but again, like you gotta, you know, take him on in a personal way, in a self-reflection and integration and intimacy with self. Anyway, dude, I don't want to be preaching, but I appreciate you holding the space for it, man. Yeah, we're having some
We're
fun,
having a good conversation.
having some fun and getting it done. I think that's a big one. Yeah, and we're getting it done, man. This is a good place to set the tone. So when are you going to the Bronx? What's going on with the story? I'm still trying to pick it up. So what feels
Soon.
solid?
Soon.
Okay,
Very soon.
But after South by Southwest,
Exactly.
so you still have a couple weeks,
Exactly.
but you don't want to go into those specific details.
Exactly.
I won't ask any more.
I mean, you can ask questions, but like I can't give you
Well,
an
it's a shame.
exact thing.
So you're gonna go back to the Bronx, and you plan on coming back here?
Yeah, I feel like performing here. I'm getting ready to release mixtape with so many indie artists, and I'm gonna be traveling from New York to Austin,
Man.
Natural Light, California.
You live in such a separate world, man. But I'd love to get to know that. I really don't know much about music and dance and that aspect of culture, but I love the idea. Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's so many different ways of looking at it, and I think that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? And like, not to
This
get lost.
sounds nah, but like being where you're like, I see where you're coming from. I'm just really pushing the limit. Being where you're as beautiful, that's my like. If I wanted to, I could go to Hawaii and think about everything. Which is so cool. Like,
Oh, you're saying I'm doing that?
nah, I feel like I could be wrong, but I'm perceiving you like looking at like my world as this really like a big bang, like flashy. I could be wrong.
I think sometimes you oscillate into a little bit of grandeur, and
No, totally. Like,
I
that's
don't.
why I'm bringing it up. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm like,
and
what's up?
I don't. I'm listening to your story, and I'm like factoring in some of my own like, you know, like disastrous delusionments. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like learning. It's like and it's like again like I give so much space for people in their 20s at any point in their 20s, and
Which
like,
so makes sense. I've heard this before.
well, I wasn't gonna go in this direction, but since you said that about Saturn Return, but I do think that's like an extremely relevant thing
It's
that is
so
so
valid.
overlooked,
Yeah.
and like giving people space and like building relationship and like you know just getting a sense of like oh okay let's really see where they're gonna settle because like there comes a point where like okay I'm crystal clear, in my opinion, and this is what I'm deciding to really like root into and form an identity about. And I feel like that's tied to the midlife crisis because like people shatter that disillusionment when Saturn comes back up to test that.
Mhm.
So it's like a weird thing about like karma and identity and like how fluid and almost volatile that can be because of like the desire to really lean into trauma, you know?
And that's an obsession with itself.
Yeah.
Because I am guilty of that. 100%. I'll see that.
Yeah, because it's tied to a prophetic mind. Because like it's like not only have you come from that trauma, but you've learned to have a relationship with it. So it's really applicable and relevant within people's lives because they can connect with it and like you can see in the eye of the other that like not only do they know you, but they can help. Like they can but that's a trick. Like that's a whole trick itself.
The whole fucking world is a trick.
So it's like again, like how to find that real balance of like what is really generative and like what's really sustainable and like where is there maybe the most potential for the long term, and like it's about interacting and engaging and interfacing with like other people that make the claim that they're standing on something. You know what I mean? And then you can have conversations about it.
I'm curious what this is all about.
Well, it's
I mean, like, I'm just
yeah, man. Well, that's again, that's the whole thing of like, it's one thing to talk about it, but it's a whole other thing to be like living on that edge of like, okay, well, this is what it's showing now, so let's put some fire behind it, and also like, to like ease with the excitement and stuff, and like give it some time and not to
Grace.
pressurize it.
Yeah, great.
I think that's a lot of it is being able to see the commitment and put energy towards it, and then, of course it's like shaping the vision, and like that's what I've been doing is more about like that idea of like what I have a good out like an outline of concept that like gives so much space for anybody to be interfacing with.
Which is really dope, honestly. I think we've gone through like 10 topics or more because of how you've been able to hold space. Pretty dope.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, check out the other interviews too. 'Cause
I
they
will
got
now that
all
we've had
different
our
ones, but like,
check out my music.
yeah, I will. I regret that I haven't, but it's been a wild ride even from Thursday, man. That's just what it's about. It's just being able to ride the tide through the times. You know what I mean? And like this is what it is, and it's not gonna be like that forever. And like I'm not stuck in any bad behaviors or anything. Like I don't have a sleep problem because I can't sleep the way that I normally do.
It's all in the mind.
And it's like cool. Like how can I just like really work with this? It's like maybe that pool of anxiety towards like normalization. It's really like a creative impulse. Anyway, dude, I don't want to.
No, it's true. Bro, it's true.
Yeah.
Just
Anxiety is such a great teacher.
just to validate, bro, and I have to, but like that's literally what the Lord told me. Like there are times where I'm feeling anxious and I start seeing shit or like the world is crumbling on my heart, and instead of smoking weed or doing cigarettes or like even when I am doing that, because it mostly comes when I'm like doing that. There's a moment where I'm like, oh, he's like, dude, stop. He's like, stop, dance. You need to dance right now. You're not anxious. Take your shoes off and dance under a tree. Go write a song. And that's why I like preaching so much. Because like that, because it's only when I connect to that and I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's definitely possible to like get to that by yourself. Like, yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
again, it's like
some
even
must be hell. You know what I'm
like
saying?
Michelangelo, like the work that he was doing, like at that time was just like so stupendous and amazing. But like when you think about it, like that has become so integrated because of how powerful his like learning was. Anyway, that is just an example. Like it's so integrated that like we don't even see it for being Michelangelo as like just a concept of idea. But like what I believe is like we're at such a rapid expansion period of time, and like I like that's not woo woo. Like I think that's just
No,
total fucking real. That's
Real shit,
reality.
talk,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like just like the integration of technology and like access and like the overstimulation of all of these different things is like going to be like this popping point where it's like, oh, shit, wow, what the fuck am I actually doing in light of all this information that I'm ingesting and like how sick I am and like wow, like I lost the plot a little bit, you know? And like especially if people are
That was
coming
a bomb.
especially if people are coming together and like doing badass things and like being like, hey, we're not trying to convince anybody of anything.
Yes.
Definitely not.
Yes.
Like, we're not trying to fight
That
it
part
out.
right there. That part right there, to where your fruit don't need explaining.
Yeah.
They just taste good. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. No money, yo, yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of the whole
Yes.
visualization of a good garden of like I'm interacting with a lot of good fruiting potential, but it's like growing amongst like really overgrown and it's like like trial by fire and like just all like how do we identify the seeds of just like the relevant medicine and like being like, okay, we got to put up boundaries to be able to grow the fruit, but then we want to share that fruit so that we can have interactions and conversations and like we'd love like you like what we're growing.
Yeah.
You can grow these seeds too because like they're
You can grow
interfacing.
these seeds too.
And please taste the fruit. Hey, sit down and stay a little while. Let's talk about what's going on. Like, where are you at? And
Yes.
okay, well, maybe this is a little bit of a jump for you, but like, let's just continue the conversation and like one thing after another, or not, or hey, you're a business leader or a community leader. Like, what else is going on? And like again, like that's obviously like grand vision ideals,
Right.
but it starts small, and you know all we got is time. You know,
Like I looked down the count. That was a bomb.
yeah,
That was a good bomb.
that was a little fun, man.
That was I would call that. So my therapist once told me I was in a part of my healing journey in Hawaii. He told me that I needed to change my definition of what I thought was sexy. That was the sexy bomb. He taught me to like not think of certain things as sexy, like think of knowledge as sexy, think of being clean as sexy, you know. So that was a sexy bomb.
Did I ask you when your birthday is?
January 6th, 1999.
January 6th. Did we talk about that before? Okay, Capricorn.
Yeah, that's me, baby.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just curious. You know, you're very you got a very like sensuality approach.
I grew up around a lot of women.
Yeah,
There was not a lot of men present in my life.
because you didn't know your father.
Didn't know my father. Foster care, separated from my brothers. The women that I was around, 9 times out of 10, they were single. So like women. And
Man,
other men, that you know, like other men have that same, but that nature, I just
I do
had
see
to
that.
like grab that because that's what helped me survive.
It's a weird thing that I see that happens is like the hyper feminization of men or the hyper masculinization of men. And like that it's so out of balance. Like it's so trauma bound from both sides.
Bro, and it's exhausting, bro, because now I'm learning how to become more masculine. Like, I was way more feminine, which is fine, but, you know, but fuck it. But me,
I caught a little flavor of it.
yeah, dude, I was like, yo, it was crazy, my nigga.
Yeah, I saw it. I definitely saw a little bit of it, but I'm glad that again, man, I'm glad that the conversation continues to move, you know. And I just wanted to check to make sure you weren't a Gemini, because that would be a whole other conversation, man. Because I think I'd have to be like, hey, well, good luck, and I keep you in my prayers, and maybe we can talk in a couple of because that's a whole other thing.
Nah, that is a whole other thing. Honestly, when,
No offense, but seriously, it's a hard thing to have conversations with Geminis and that shit.
you know it's crazy because we're talking about these worlds and these different perspectives and stuff, and it's just this shit with this horoscope stuff. How, you know what I'm saying? And even how that's an illusion has become an illusion within itself because of how much energy we put into it as a collective. Not rejecting the factual evidence, but like we are putting a lot of energy into that as a collective also. Just to
So
throw that out
do you
there.
not believe in astrology?
Did I say that?
I believe we're probably on the same page about astrology.
Yeah,
I don't
we
feel like
are.
I don't feel like
Wisdom is wisdom.
I don't think there's anything worth arguing right now because like
No,
we're on
no.
the same page regarding like
I just wanted to bring it up.
the
though.
total perversion.
I
of
wanted to
all.
bring it up.
That's even
Though.
why
I had to bring it up.
That's the only reason.
You have to.
That's the only reason I ever even got involved with astrology in the first place was because how much bullshit of like they're definitely hiding something behind all of this, and it's like. And then again, like because of my own interactions and like a curiosity, like I've seen enough patterns within people as I travel around and things, and get to know places, and you know, anyway, blah blah blah. Like it became more aware, and then it's of course like even in that like oral tradition of astrology, which is like again like really living and present in a lot of ways, but there's a different reality that also is like coexisting life that a lot of people don't realize is sort of on is in that space of homelessness. But there's a no man's land, you know.
I like women. You know, honestly, I'm probably saying this because, you know, I live in this day and age. I would love to take how it was to not rely on electricity or any electronics to know what time it was. Back to the time when you did have to go by the moon phases to know the season.
100%.
Like, oh, the wisdom is required to know that. Like,
Yo,
people have to go to wise people to figure out when the time of the year was. Like, depending on the year.
you know, and it's so wild to even think about how recently removed that is from our human experience. And like how this is again like all this like ramping up of stimulation and how much like we've lost that physical connection with
It
these
makes you
things.
want to cry.
But like because of like again like our undying eternal spirit and these like in connection with nature, that like even beyond those that sensory overload that we're also able to like tune into it, and like it's even like a more regenerative way of really tuning in, because like, and then again like how much that shifts into like such a deep knowing when there's an ability to transition into like a better um environment where like it's agreed upon that there are better ways of doing things, and like if any challenges that come up, then like we have the space to have conversations, and like we need to see this as like a chamber of like being adaptive, you know what I mean, and like learning new ways and like getting softer around like expectations, like living expectations,
Yeah.
and at the same time like being able to again like as artists of like we all value this, like how much studio space is so needed. So like again like it just opens up more dialogue of like all of these things are already being taken into consideration, but like we all struggle with hyper isolation, and we all really want to be inclusive and interactive and engaging in different ways. And like I think that's on different degrees of that spectrum, you know. But like people that are more interactive and already engaging have a lot to learn from both. You know, there's an obvious transference of knowledge and connection on the similar aim. So that's kind of like in a nutshell what I would say.
Well said.
If it's relevant, who knows, man?
It's always relevant to somebody.
Was it relevant to you, man? That's the
Yeah.
big question. So you're all right. I'll take that. I'll take that. I appreciate you riding it. We're moving right along. Where are we at in the story then? Well, that was a longer break than expected, but it was good timing. This is a different style of interview, man. Appreciating it.
I think I'm happy we had the conversation off camera too, because I feel like it allowed it released a lot of like energy to open up to whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, and again, it's that whole thing of like you know the conversation just continues, and you know even that is just pivoting, you know.
Yeah,
And it's always good. It's always good to have a little bit of that.
that's true. What's the
I mean, these are the questions that I am
Oh.
trying to ask artists, but like again, like I'm giving a lot of space for even this whole interview series to be defined.
what
You know what I
question
mean?
are we on? Have you started?
And it's so interesting to even see how so many people interpret things in different ways. And I think that's what I like most about getting into this, you know. But you know, I feel like yeah, you summarized the story of your life up to this point as seen through the lens of your art pretty well, and like you're riding the wave, and you know for the people that are listening, you know, like I think you gave a good sense that you're really open ended and curious, and you're not desperate. Um, you're making things happen.
Thank you.
So the next question was, you know, there was different ties to it, and I know, like, yeah, that's a whole other conversation because I think going into your childhood would give a lot more context, but that's for a different interview, man. You know, we'll cut that off. But it was good to hear the inspirational and the higher aspirations and sort of what is the driving momentum that leads you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the second question is, what has been your relationship with drugs? You know, whether that's legal or
Lovely.
or prescribed or even illegal.
It has been a love and hate. Sorry, is that the full question?
Well, yeah, just in the past and then currently.
Love and hate relationship. It has been a yin and yang, both with weed, nicotine, and even prescribed drugs um, from the doctor. Like, it's been, yeah.
Are you over that yet?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
I am.
God.
Praise God. I am.
That's a huge leap.
I am, but I'm not gonna lie. There are times. Because there are times. Take a child. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But there are times where it's like, oh, I wish it hasn't happened. And then God's like, everything you need is within you.
You Nazi.
You know what I'm saying?
You amphetamine Nazi.
Listen, it's good. It was.
Yeah, well,
That's how they made it. They made it to be good.
it's radical.
They made it to be good. What you expect?
That's the way it is.
That's how they do you.
So people, you decide for yourselves. It's already, it's written on the wall.
Now look, I'm not gonna say that it doesn't help.
So you feel like
That's not
Adderall
true.
was the big teacher? Like, were there any other prescription drugs that you would take?
I wouldn't say it was a teacher. But I've been on medication. I grew up in foster care, so like Ritalin, Focalin, Adderall was like the adult version of all of these other shit. Yeah, I've gotten prescribed Xanax, I've gotten prescribed fucking Klonopin, I've gotten prescribed. Yeah, like for somebody of my caliber to the government in the world, you can get prescribed those things, and it's just like, oh, this is gonna help you. This is what's going on.
Dude, it's so sick. The decentralization of people. It's so crazy, and it's so amazing that you've been able to detox and get yourself out of that and be able to slow down enough. That
And
is
that's what the
miraculous
character.
itself.
That's sanctification process. Telling you, man.
Yeah.
That's just that. It's.
Oh,
I,
man.
I speak so intently about it because that's how it feels.
I'm on the same
like,
page, dude. I've done a 2-week fast down in Big Bend, in the desert there.
Nice.
You know, and it's all been a build up to that. I'm just like, yeah, man. Like, if you don't, from the top to the bottom, if you don't understand what like the parasite connection is, especially with like gut health, and like we can even go into the whole conversation of like there are also healthy bugs that live inside of you. So like, don't think that like you gotta. It's the same thing with your gut health, and I know it's kind of disgusting to kind of think about, but they're not like roaches or like you got to be able to recognize different things about worms. I'm sorry, I know that that's a hard thing to really conceptualize, but we'll get there in time.
We'll get there in
You
time.
know what I mean?
I believe in us as a humanity.
Yeah, that's a whole weird territory, dude.
I know.
But we don't have to get into it. But yeah, dude, it's cool to be able to talk with somebody that even has gone through that or is currently in process of that. But just by your eyes, it seems like you got pretty clear to a degree.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Worked hard. But shout out to Eternity Up. That nigga.
Right on.
He went through so much life in order to teach me that within the past 3 years. I got lucky.
Good for you and good for him, man. That's really incredible to keep that going.
And now I'm hoping that you can cultivate that kind of relationship. I think you are doing that right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Because the conversation we're having outside, I'm curious to see where.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I think that the highest aim amongst all aims is collaboration because like that's really at the end of the day what we're all on this planet to do together. You know what I mean? And like, sure, problems are gonna happen, but like we don't have to kill each other. Like I know that. Wow, what a ludicrous idea. Like wow, can we like just recognize greed for greed and be accountable to some degree, and then make a meeting?
It's,
Sorry, I feel like I interrupted something.
that was, no, you didn't. That was like, no, we answered the question about the drug and that was perfect.
So yeah, I mean, I'd love to even hear more about your own relationships with any of those, and you don't have to go because I know that's even deep, but it gives so much more context again of like
What's up?
you lived a really rich life of a lot of forced outcomes, And like even still,
That's beautifully said.
yeah, it's just that's what I'm seeing of it, and that's what I'm hearing. Of
That's
what
such a
you're sharing.
compliment. I've never, because of the way you worded it. Proceed.
Yeah, because I feel like that helps a lot with even just identifying what traumas are, and
Yeah.
also like our own confused ways of coping, and like then the shame of it, and then
Yeah.
like the sense of never being clean. So it's like, oh, I'm already going to hell. Let's just rob them and sell them drugs. You know, like anyway, man, it's just a.
Proceed. So the question was that
All
I'm
right,
ready
so-
to any one of them specifically.
You don't have to get into any of those, but like, you know what well, you know, how about like the drugs that you have felt were like really, because I think we would come to the outcome with you talking about those drugs where it was really confining within yourself, and it was really confusing you of your true nature, and then it took time to be able to rise above that, and then it was so suppressed for so long that a lot of like you're still processing a lot of that.
Like you said it.
Yeah,
You basically just read me and said
I mean,
that's what I was, because I'll give you an example that might answer the entire question. Vice did. Everyone has fun. That. We don't want to say it.
I wish I could say.
Me too. I wish that word wasn't even a word.
Keep going.
But nah.
This is the deep well right here, so take your time.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Go ahead. What are you trying to get into?
Truth.
Okay. Yeah, let's just get into the ministry, man. Let's get the word behind you with what you're, because this is obviously you're wanting to dance delicately around what you're wanting to say, but you're also wanting to say it truthfully. So
Let's get into the
that's
truth.
yeah, like
Let's get into the ministry. Let's get into the truth.
right, because you can only start practicing that muscle when
You better preach.
yeah,
Woo!
that's just the way that
That's
it is.
just the way it is.
Yeah.
So basically,
It's a good song.
it's
Yeah,
okay.
so go ahead.
Things anyway. It was about the drugs and stuff, and give me back to the question.
You're like approaching in response to my reflection of what I would assume would be your story, right?
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, any children that were prescribed drugs, like that's the programmed outcome.
Correct.
So like, and then I know that there would be a lot of stories, and then it was about, I guess, the whole story with your drugs, and even like the more medicinal drugs that you got into that were part of your healing.
Got it. I was like a mad scientist with it, bro. Like, it got to a point where, like, you're not supposed to mix these chemicals, right? Intention is important, though, right? Intention is huge.
How old were you at this point?
At this point that I'm referencing, I'm in my 20s, so I'm in my 20s.
And you were mixing prescribed drugs?
Missing prescribed drugs.
Oh, so that was kind of recent that you were even on
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just kicked out doors. Like,
When did you stop?
it's an ongoing battle. So it's an ongoing
Oh, I
battle.
thought this was like way back.
So from 22 when I had my awakening, I stopped all the way till 26.
So when did you start getting prescribed?
9 years old.
So from 9 years old up until 22.
So, oh, I got you. 9 years old, all the way. Let's be graceful. 10 years old, all the way up until 21. Drugs prescribed. doctor, whether it's
Regularly.
regularly, prescription, care, whatever. Also smoking weed. That's just teenage. Boom. Then from 21 to 22, I went there. I went back there. Now, during those teenage years, I used to go back and forth there. I would always be like, I don't want to do this. I don't need this.
Were you in Hawaii at that point?
And during the 20s, yeah.
So at that point, when you went,
When I moved, it was like, I'm in Hawaii. I don't need this anymore. I'm not stressed out. I shouldn't need this anymore. I should be fine. There should be no reason. So I stopped. I even stopped therapy with my husband right back. A strict out girl. You can't just be letting go straight like that.
Yeah, because that's
Thinking you got it. Yeah, you know.
All those things that have been suppressed.
Mm-hmm. You think I'm gonna come right?
Oh, look at that! These things are crazy.
And you know what? And that happened in high school too. Like I will get on it and I'll get off.
They need more drugs. They're
Child.
see, look, they're crazy. Look, they've been suppressed this entire time, and now they're trying to. Yeah, this generation is crazy. Yeah. What else would you expect? You know, it's not personal; it's just business. That's the capital creed.
Sure. Ooh, okay. Nope. Ponytails are done.
Hey man, I know I keep on pulling you away from the story,
No,
but I feel like it's all tied to it. I feel like it's all part of it. It sounds like yeah, I'm always curious even what that would be like to have that kind of hair.
have locks. Oh, it's beautiful. It's so freeing.
A lot of work.
It's no, it's not.
People always make it seem like it. I guess that's what that.
It can be. It's all about the mindset. If you have a relationship, man, it's beautiful. It teaches you so much. And you know what? You know how you say like you like having the homeless badge? These locks gives me the people think I'm always one way. They judge me for how my hair looks and how I look and how I dress sometimes. And sometimes I do it on purpose just to prove a point. And I think and having locks has helped has to give because the way people look at me with locks versus how they did before when I didn't have locks is so fucking different. Both good and bad.
Yeah,
Both good and bad, but it's like a fucking science experiment.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head about
It's
like
dope.
it's a weird thing about that age of like, you know, again learning psychology and learning how people are interfacing with your appearance and then like but then there just comes that point where it's like, okay, I played that game and now I'm wanting to cultivate like relationships. You know, like it's just like how am I just appearing and like
But you know what it does? No, it filters out the fake relationship.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
because it's otherwise
Because you wouldn't be here. Because if I
Oh,
was,
yeah.
because if I was who I am around my around my students when I met you, we wouldn't have connected that close with them in order to get to where you want. Like it's like a pre-written thing. It's like it's being done on purpose, but not on purpose at the same time. But that's how you filter out bullshit people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
To different degrees, but I feel like it's because of just the way that I move through life and like, you know, I'm arrogant enough to just always be like, you know, I don't have to put on any appearances for anything. I'm not even saying
That's
that
okay. But that's how you grew up. You didn't have to.
well, that's been a whole process, dude, even breaking through that, like even how much I was being basically like conditioned and like groomed in ways. But that's a whole other thing, man. I put that interview. I have my own self interview on the website. It fills in a lot of those. I answer my own questions type of thing. But so I mean like I feel like almost my own expression is like a reflection of like the extreme end of the other side of that. If that makes any sense.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's funny, I actually really do want to be my friend because he's aiming for the middle point also. Coming from where I think you're talking about.
Yeah. And again, it's a whole other conversation about like, you know, what does the priest class look like in our time when we recognize that like priesthood is so relevant in all societies and cultures, if they're ever going to be able to sustain themselves, and it's like, great, we don't have to play any games to be like a guru or like some monk in some other place. Like, what does it look like for our culture and like in this land? Like, there's so much. Like, we're in,
Not
dude.
gonna
This,
lie, hence that's why I've like allowed myself to smoke a cigarette during the usually I wouldn't have allowed this.
I, dude, I just think it's a whole thing about like, this is so controversial to say it, but I've been having this conversation for a while. Just like, when do we get the the recognition that we're indigenous to this land, despite where our blood has come from and all of the things and all the anguish from the people before us, like. We were born here, like we're of this soil. Like it's a whole other conversation about like the integration of like the land spirit. You know what I mean? And like I love, yeah, man. I think tobacco is a really extraordinary medicine.
It is. It actually is a medicine, and that's a whole other conversation within itself. It goes back into the natives and stuff and all that extra stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I love it, man. Yeah,
it's
it's
that's
so
what
needed.
eternally up told me too. That nigga taught me so much, so I gotta get props. I'm all about it. But yeah,
Well, I can't wait to have a conversation with him and get real with it because I love that, and I'd love to even have the space of accountability and challenging other men that are also in that aim of like how do we really make this system the most efficient that it can be. Like not everybody needs to do it, but like if you want to have that conversation,
so you're so ahead of your time. It's insane.
yeah, it's a patience, man. But like again, that's why it's so nice to have these types of conversations with people that can hold the space and like again, man, I love having everybody's. There's so many different relevant conversations that are happening concurrently, but I think oftentimes this type of conversation and the visualization opportunity is really where it's at. You know,
It's where it's at.
and
It's just like when we spoke about earlier. It really is where it's at.
yeah, and again, it's like we're off to a good start with just the spontaneity of all this and like no bullshit and around. Thursday morning and now it's Friday evening. You know, and that's really what it's all about, everybody.
Excuse me.
Yes. All right. Well, I feel like, in a sense, we can get into, of course, psychedelics, but I feel like that cup's pretty full. You want to get into more? You were doing acid when you were doing in city.
I did acid in New York City. That was before I was even I was still a child in the spirit realm. I was just worshiping and being grateful all the time. When I did mushrooms as an adult, it's very important because I did it each time, and I'm so grateful to God that I even had the spiritual um grooming to make sure I take these things serious. So like each of my mushroom trips had prayers attached to it. Like even when I did cocaine before, I pray over my cocaine. I don't fucking play that shit. And people might call it blasphemous. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, please purify this cocaine as I get ready to snort. I'm doing that.
Yeah,
That is who the fuck I am.
he is that person.
And I'm not saying this okay, but like I've been in, I've been there.
Well, this is getting into an interesting territory about the spirit of drugs and why it's a necessary discernment of the user outside of the idea that all drugs are equal and they all have
My altering effect.
um, how many times would you say that you've done cocaine?
Not a lot. It was the phase.
What did you feel like you learned from that?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I learned I learned that cocaine is a serious drug. I'm laughing because I think that's Dave Chappelle's line. That's somebody's line, but
Oh yeah,
I learned that that's just a serious fucking drug that you don't fucking play.
it's
Like,
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
yeah, like, yo, that is hell. Now, I'm not saying like people talk about, oh, you're going to hell. No, people fail to realize is hell is you could bring hell into your life at this motherfucking moment, and that fucking addiction is scary as fuck. And yes, you can balance it, and there's ways to be a functioning. You know, there's a healthy spiritual way to do it. Sure.
No, there.
Thank you for saying that, but I had to say it for the people who need
No,
to,
I'm sorry.
who need the milk. You know what I'm
Cocaine
saying?
is even the way that it's being made. It just the whole thing. If you can't see it for what it is, it's already playing its magic. I think it's like an ultimate deceiver.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I think it does.
No baby, you know. That's good.
Yeah, man. I think it's really important to be able to offer other perspectives and like people that have had cocaine problems. Like that's a really hard path to heal that. I think it scarifies a part of the brain.
It does.
It becomes like easily recognizable when a person has had cocaine habits. And like I don't want to draw conclusions, but I do see that as something that I witnessed. You know, like that fire goes somewhere. You know what I mean? And
Or
it's
it
so
just dies out.
no, well, I'm saying like on a literal like um metaphysical level within our mind of like cocaine and the appearance of it is so psycho. It's so like psychoanalytical and it's so mental and like that it burns. It's like it's so hot.
Yeah.
And like that has to be somewhere and like it's not embodied and again like it's so sad to even hear this like the crazy stories of people with cocaine trips and like you actually listen to it and you're able to fill in the details about like the ambiguity and it's like that just sounds like a really bad time. Like, that doesn't even sound like it's a good time. It sounds sloppy at all turns and like it's made to
It's
seem-
fucking hilarious.
and it's
I'm
like,
not gonna
oh
lie.
dude, look at all the trouble we made. It's like
It's hilarious.
man,
I think it's hilarious. Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's I have a lot of maybe it's because
Addiction isn't hilarious, but
and like I've been on the road for 12 years type of thing, and like I could go on and on about that story, but like I feel like it just gets to a time where it's like, okay, the party's over, please, you know what I mean? Like, can we just maybe like move it forward, and that's it's a whole learning journey about like the places that seem like they represent change often are stuck in bullshit already.
I've said a lot. I love this. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one to recap on, man.
Haven't seen like. Are you like a natural editor? You just like gonna do it after this particular.
No, dude, I cleaned it up a little bit, but it's yeah, like but it's like real rudimentary and like again, man, I want to embrace simplicity.
No,
And like I feel like it's so refreshing.
it is. I've been trying to tell my mom this. She's like, "Why are you posting? Why so wide out the camera?" I was like, "No, ma. Like, there's trees in the background. Like, I'm not the only thing in the video. Like,
Yeah. A lot, yeah, man. There's a lot to say about it.
yeah, so really good.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. You ready for the next one? Huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I think it's part of this whole theme and the whole conversation, but I think it ties in nicely. How do you view the concept of healing, and how do you personally prioritize health in relation to creative expression?
How do I prioritize feeling?
How do you view the concept of healing, and how do you prioritize health in your life?
I view the concept of healing as something that's ongoing.
Do you think there's ever an arrival?
I thought there was.
And you believe that there isn't?
I believe that there is one in the afterlife.
Do I have a monologue for you? Keep it simple. But I do think that there is a self initiation into manhood in which there's a recognition that enough is enough and that you are a man. And then
I like this.
you're no longer seeking healing, but you're seeking purpose and you're seeking substance. And I feel like that's the critical point
Thank you.
because
That's so
there's
dope.
still a victim mindset within healing that is hard for people to get over because I think that limits and it always puts something into the future and even like
you know, you would contradict yourself in the recognition that hell, being an eternal, timeless state, is also accessible in this realm,
Yeah,
as well as heaven,
correct.
right? So it's just like being able to see what that is, while also like embracing the fact that like it's in different ways an ideal, just as much as like you know, it's not literally hell.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not literally heaven, but it's like also like its state of mind and its perspective about like where things are going and being able to see the trajectory. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the whole trick about delusion.
That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. What was the second part of the question? It was the how does
Oh man, well, that was my argument for the concept of healing.
Oh, I didn't think it was an argument. I actually took that as an argument.
Cool. So
Yeah.
right on. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely use argument in a way that I think is like it's the way that I mean it, not the way that like other people like often have it like charged with negativity.
no, sometimes yeah, so definitely, totally. But humbleness, like I do know I don't know everything. So like it's funny that you bring that up because there was something in me that was viewing like how another version of me would have reacted in this moment. And I was just looking at that version like, okay, cool, like that's not me.
Yeah, dude, I mean, even that, man, like how much that is just even acknowledgement of like that's such a huge milestone development. You know, like there again, like being able to like it's a real tricky balance of being able to like you've been learning the efficiency of the engine and like being able to accelerate, but like being able to integrate the brakes into the system is like I think that's the art and the finesse of it.
Disturbing.
Yeah. So it's I'm glad that I could add some insight. I feel like um it's a healthy idea about the endless growth and continuation of creativity, but not to confuse that with healing.
Yeah. No, that was actually good. And because I think I mentioned earlier, like I'm learning how to become a man. And what you're saying is true. And what you're saying is biblical also. Not all of it, but like the mentality of where you're coming from with in particular with becoming a man. I agree with what you're saying. It should be a point where you're like, no, I'm gonna put my foot down. Cool. I'm not handling it anymore. I'm taking care of business and that's priesthood.
Right. Just putting integrity as like the front runner of everything else, and then everything else falls into place behind it. You know, like that's what is called impeccability. You know, where it's like not about morality, but you just know the laws of nature, and like the right decisions always lead to the right outcomes, and like it's not a demon trying to prove you that you're too good on God's side. You know, it's just a weird mythology that it breaks down in accountability.
It's very intricate, and yes, like, that is accurate. That's an accurate conversation, but it's so beyond our minds.
So, in light of this entire conversation,
Wait,
right now,
I want the second part of the question.
well, how do you view the concept of healing after all
No,
is said?
we answered that one.
Oh, because you said that it's never.
Right, yeah, and I mean, I could change my answer, obviously, now that I have like new wisdom on it, but I don't think that's necessary because I still need to like chew on it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So
Okay.
that's where it's at for this, and you're in the process of considering it, and maybe it will take shape in your mind, but it's no. It just if it does, it doesn't. Whatever. Okay. I don't need to summarize it. You hear what I'm saying. How do you personally prioritize health in relation to creative expression?
How do I personally balance myself? Um, I am sure to like take supplements, and I'm sure to like do intermittent fasting. Those two, the supplements, fasting, and praying, top three. Top three.
How's your diet?
Some will say it's unhealthy, and some will say it's healthy.
Give me a little rundown. I like where you're going with this. You can be honest. Like
No, I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, cool. I like that you like something. um, how is my diet at this moment? Maybe one meal a day.
what that look.
Like maybe a box of like frozen pizza if I'm struggling, quote unquote, or just some like fruit and oatmeal. It's like I swing on the pendulum sometimes, and I'm currently getting to this spot right here, to where it's okay to have this, but not overdo it. You know what I mean?
I think so. I have a really good meal that I like to share with people that are like really keeping things simple. But and like again, like I'm in, I could go on and on about that, but like I eat very differently when I have a kitchen. I love cooking, and like I think nutrition is definitely medicine, and like so needed. It's like beyond medicine, it also like makes us stronger, and it's just so good. But like when I'm needing to live on the road in these ways, like hummus, cilantro, like getting like 2 or 3 or 4 bundles of cilantro, lemon. I get like hot peppers, like habaneros or like red jalapenos. I really love those. And hummus and olive oil, like that type of thing. And just like mix that with, and then have some rice cakes with that. And like, I really, like, I also think like cheese is like really good medicine and really good fats. And like, I think it's out of control. Like, good cheese is really incredible. That's a whole other story. But like, I'm just sharing, like, again, like, if you're trying to keep up calories or something like that, but there's just a lot of different games to be played, and you know, like sauerkraut and things like that, I think are often like underrated as just like really accessible and like sort of like a really, it's like a gem. It's like a gem, and like it seems like it's hopeless, and it seems like it's not really accessible. But if you get really creative about it, it's like very affordable, and it keeps yeah it keeps the body strong, man. That's at least just how I feel. And like you can eat a lot of it and feel good about eating food, but
Thank you.
just a thought.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, man,
Thank you.
I feel like I'm taking over this a little bit.
No, no, it's
So how do you personally prioritize health? And it sounds like you're pretty simple. You have one meal a day, and you keep it's not really a focus for yourself.
yeah, and not like on that's not only one meal every time, but like that's like on average. Cause I'm a dancer. You know what I'm saying? Like I need to be like I like to be like I do need to I do want to lift a little, but for the most part I'm cool with being lean.
I got you. It's pretty respectable. I mean, I would just assume you probably want to eat more because you're dancing.
And there are times where I go off, but I gain weight so fast and I become subconscious and I'm like, no, 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 no. I'd rather starve than to be fat. No.
It's a weird thing, man, to even be able to feel that. Like I'm getting close. I'm getting close myself. I've been having to take a break from exercise for like with weight training and running, man. Like it's the same way that I feel, and I feel like I feel good having some meat on my bones, so to say.
It is nice.
Yeah,
It's no, trust me. Anyway,
yeah,
I have an image of what I would like my body to be, but I'm also trying not to worship that, so I don't focus too much on it. But like,
yeah. I think that's super healthy for a man. It's not pain at all. I think it's just like really a connection with what's healthy, and like again, like beauty follows it. And like I think it's like it's our own higher order of Pavlovian conditioning when like even in that way of like at first it may appear to be for external validation, but then it gets to that point where like the quality of life is so like it's so far surpassing the promises of superficiality
yeah,
that it's just like taking it to a different level, you know.
dude,
And not losing connection with that because like yeah life simultaneously gets simpler and also like more complex.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people always recognize that. But yeah, patterns are nice sometimes. They're not always.
I do. That's what I'm all about, man. Is generating patterns. Like, cause that's man, on and on that goes.
Oh no.
So yeah. Sorry, bro.
Just thinking about
So yeah, it sounds like you see health as a pretty high order in your life. That you're doing things that are accessible for you, currently, and you're pretty yeah, you're pretty dynamic and pretty flexible until something more stable and predictable can be available. Pattern, maybe. All right. What truly moves slash inspires you to be an artist? And how would you define your relationship with this source of inspiration?
the Lord. And you would have asked me that question 3 years ago, I would have just said trying to share my story would have been the answer. But now it's the Lord. And the reason why I say that is because I got to a point where I realized it's bigger than me. That it has nothing, like it does have to do with my story and my life, but it really doesn't, because there are, it's like me just gonna try not to overcomplicate it. Somebody write in "I love you" in the bathroom stall. Okay. That's my source.
That's an interesting start.
Like that's just my source. It's like God is like no one can fully understand. The God I worship is as if how I understand him is no one can fully understand his ways, that he uses a sticker on the bumper car that someone randomly chose to buy in order to get a message across, regardless if they know him or not.
I think that's so important. That dynamic relationship with language and like living in symbolism, and like that real fine line between overdoing it, you know, and it can become very stimulating, but it's hard. Yeah, like I feel like we're in the same boat.
Like, you know,
Yeah, you gotta keep the eyes open for it.
if art is, if we are creators and creation is legit our spell essentially.
Mm.
You know, we are creators.
Yo, man.
Like, bro, we are connected to this fucking. We are, in a sense, made of God. Like, that's just the reality of it.
Reach, man. That is. I'm gonna get this off.
Child, I gotta roll up again. But we ain't gonna stop the kid, bro. I'm gonna bring it over here.
It's getting hot.
Should I turn the AC on? Or the sound?
It's up to you, man.
No, it's getting hot. I'm just being that whole time.
I appreciate you, man. How do you feel with the window open?
You can open it,
How do you feel about that?
please. Let the energy flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, what do you think about that? About what?
That was not helpful. Can you bring me back to it, and I'll pick it right back up.
Nah, because you were saying how you responded to my response with responded to my response with with overdoing it. Not that aggressively, I said it, but essentially, yeah, that's what she was saying. Like, because read the question.
What truly moves, inspires you to be an artist? How would you
Period.
define your relationship?
Because I was doing the first one, and I was saying like the Lord is what, you know, like that's my source, and I was explaining why I was saying the Lord. And then I went into like how if you would ask me that question 3 years ago, my answer would have been, oh, so I can like tell my story so it can heal everybody. Versus now that you're asking me this question as a 27-year-old after this huge spiritual awakening, it's what made me realize that it's not even about my my life, my testimony, my movement. It's about the little things that's helping everybody get along their life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just again that openness to spontaneity and trusting in the way that it's like leading itself. Um, and I think faith and trust are really like they're so inseparable. And like even connecting that within our relationships is definitely the task of our times. You know.
So, if anything is needed right now in the world, it's hope.
Well, yeah, the devil's in the details about that word.
That's true, but I don't even want to give that energy in this moment.
But I agree with you
You know what I'm
regarding
saying?
even the nature of this conversation is definitely generating optimism and hope because like we're beginning to frame dialogue around solutions.
Ooh.
You know, but like if a person's hope is tied to like the reincarnation of a form that's going to solve all of their problems and promise them something, then it's going to be really hard to see solution outside of that framework.
Less about the problem, more about the present.
I agree. I'm so on the same page with that. And I think that's again like where the devil's in the details about hope.
It's true,
It's
like,
I'm very hopeful of like this conversation and what's behind it and like
and what you're saying is valid too. Damn,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. So cool, man. What are you just looking at me with my hair back, dude?
I'm sorry. See, and this is why I say it's an ongoing battle. You look good. Jesus, you've been hiding your face.
This guy over here, huh?
Anyway,
I'm exotic to this man, let me tell you.
it's the white men. No
Yeah.
offense. It's the white man energy.
Well, that's how
It's great,
That's
though.
how I lure the artist in with my charm and good looks. Let me tell you.
But no, that's not only true. It's the energy. Because
Yeah.
if I didn't sense what I perceive to be the Lord in you, like that good spirit, I wouldn't have like we wouldn't be having this
Yeah,
conversation.
man. Of course, because like how insane it would be for me to be something that I'm not. Like how much effort it would be to like be able to perform to this degree and then also
It's possible.
like,
I've
have
done it.
this alternative agenda.
I've done it.
Not that well. I'm telling you
I've
that.
done it well. No, that is true.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
But that's what
I
I'm
had no
saying.
idea.
Like, yeah, but you hear what I'm saying. It's just like, yeah, it's easy to play those games when it's on a superficial level, but like, where do the big boys play? And then also, like, where do men stop playing the dumb fucking game? Actually, like even the whole thing with like philosophy, it's like, oh, riddle me this, riddle master, and then it's just like, you know, roll their dice.
spiritual cock measuring contest.
Very strange indeed. But I'm sure somebody's impressed somewhere about it.
It's true.
But you know, what are we? Yeah, again, it's like the bigger conversation and the more interesting conversation, in my opinion, is like what do we do with the information that's at hand, and how are we creating an outcome that's creative and also sustainable.
Sustainable. Well, well, you figured that out about trial and error, right?
Yeah, until it gets to that point where it's like, you know, it's the harmony of it, you know, feeling it.
But that's the answer. I don't think most of us know. Yeah, we kind of just gotta wait. That's that boiling point you're talking about.
Dude, it's again that whole thing, man. It's like if you don't come to terms with the chaos and you're not like living in the day that we're living, then like your aim is a little distorted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like it's all, dude. Again, it goes back to that same sort of hymn regarding like it's so good to be able to purify and see the value of that in the time that you're living. and then just to know that there's always something more beyond it.
And that's yeah. We were talking about that outside. I don't think we spoke about it here. Yeah. So yeah, because it's true. Because once you see it, that means that one, it's already happened, and two, there's still much.
Yeah, yeah. Because again, like even getting into those spaces where people have been having these conversations for a really long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but literally just like a pattern.
Yeah.
These conversations happen, recorded happen. You know, I think about, and it doesn't matter what I'm thinking about right now, but yeah.
Why? I'm sure it's really relevant.
I'm thinking about like interviews of like Michael Jackson and some random fucking reporter that, like how you see like old interviews pop up on social media now. Like this is literally these bull comp that Prince used to have with certain people. Like everything we're talking about has been spoken about already, and as you said, it's repeating itself. Like when do we get to the point where,
Yeah,
it bursts out?
yeah, because the pattern's exhausted. It's like, oh my god, holy shit! And it's like, oh, what, we got to make it even more obnoxious now. Like the next cycle is going to be even like more fucking obvious.
I think I honestly, we shall see. I think one, and this may be because I'm whatever. I think one of the many things that humanity has used to try to control the world or try to figure out the world and get to understand it. I think one of the things, or all of us just coming together, like one of the things, I don't know the word to use, but you understand what I'm saying. One of the things are going to be the things that actually work.
Yeah. And
And then that's how it's gonna happen. Then everything else is just gonna die.
paradoxically,
Like that's it. We none of us know which one it is. Some of us think we do. At the end of the day, nobody really knows. Let me leave that. That's the
well, I don't know how much you're tied into geopolitics and the things going on in the world,
a little bit,
but
a little bit.
from a little bit of it, and again, this has been going on for a long time, and I could catch you up on a lot of years and all these different things because it's like again, like a big part of philosophy is also pattern recognition in history, and then like what's going on currently. But the point that I'm making is, I hear what you're saying,
Mhm.
but I also believe that like paradoxically and ironically, the one solution is like the multipolar solution where there's like many congruent qualities are simultaneously organizing around the same themes and like there's more of an understanding of like the interweaving and the networking. You know what I mean? And like that's like yeah, like the new world order is going to come because like that's where we've evolved to a globalism. But like it doesn't need to be the WEF and it doesn't need to be like the EU bullshit and all the dumb, erotic and erratic things from England. I'm so sick of colonialism, and it's
Come
like,
on.
oh, yay!
You're so right.
Yeah, like even man, I'll never forget it. Just like I went over to Zilker Springs and was swimming for a bit, and just like interacted with this British couple, and I was like, oh, so yeah, I hear a lot of things are going on in Britain right now, and immediately their response let me know that they're like super affluent and wealthy people. They're like, oh, nothing's going on at all, and it's like yeah, nothing, yeah, it's nothing like America. And it's like, wow, I'm being fed enormous propaganda, or Britain is, yeah, it's having its reckoning. You know,
Mm.
it's just an example, and it's like look at the patterns, man.
Because we'll see.
It even goes back to freaking.
Damn, you're right.
Like, where are your people from originally? Do you keep that?
Nigeria.
So even that, man. Do you have things going on in Africa, man? What? I'd even be curious to hear that story. How they get out of Nigeria? What happened?
Oh.
All right, man.
I don't have all of the knowledge to answer that question at this very moment. Like I have pieces, but I'm still collecting all the pieces.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that that's a really.
It's such a deep
It's
journey.
super nebulous and like because again, man, generational trauma and all the hiding spots, dude. And you got to even search within yourself to find where it lies.
I have a lot of answers, but it's just like I don't have the full story at the start.
Yeah, a lot of where I come from is conjecture. and speculation and concept because like there's just so little understanding in my family at all.
Mm.
You know.
I have a good family tree that ties it down. Okay. Okay.
I'm not getting to it.
Yeah, no, no.
Let's save it for another day. There's a lot of conversations that are happening.
Where'd that come from, though? We were on the where did my heart. Oh, so I didn't answer the second part of that question. So we answered. I told you the source of the art. And then the second part of the question was.
Yeah, how would you define your relationship with the source?
I would define it as a father son brother relationship. Which makes sense on a not it makes sense on a trauma based level and it makes sense on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow up with a father, so I'm seeing the Lord as my father and my family wasn't super close, so Jesus is my brother and the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? So like but that is my conceptualization of my relationship with the source that I mentioned for my art.
It makes it so much easier to connect with God as a universal father than a father if you don't have a healthy male role model in your life. And I feel like that could easily be defined as trauma. And
Yeah, that's why I gave both sides because I know there's always the flip
no,
side.
because I can relate with it, and it's just like again, it's just like hooray! Like yes, I'm traumatized from what my father did to me.
Yeah,
It's like hooray! Like okay, this is what I'm choosing to do to adapt and factor in bigger things that need to be addressed for me to be at peace. In that sense, you know. It's just yeah, it's absurd. It's just like hooray! Everybody has fucking problems, you know.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, this is fun. This is definitely fun. So I appreciate it. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself too. It seems like we're on that same level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very enriching. And again, it really is about the quality of connection. And like, even if this is a placebo for the opportunity to engage with you and explore, getting our message into a space, and like just the ceremony of the process.
and also just this right here.
Yeah, man.
Even if this didn't even get posted, like this right here.
That's what I'm saying. And like even that, like I'm doing this in a broad scope of different however an artist receives me in their space. And like even in that it gives such a diversity of experience and expression. There's so much relevancy on different social levels. And like you got a home. Like you're getting and I think that's a lot of like even the desire in a monastic pursuit is like making home. Like making home what you know within yourself in a in feng shui, like in the knowing of how the energy moves, you know. Well, I don't want to be preaching to you. That's the last thing.
It's in your nature, it's in your nature. You can't help it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I try to run away from it.
Yeah, well, it's again, man, it's really good. It's a good, in my opinion, it's a good sign of healthy relationship where there's like um the accessing of like, this is just what we're talking about, you know? And yeah, there's just so much more to come. I think that's a healthy perspective and letting it have its time. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the questions here. But this is like a 4-part question.
Okay.
So I'll break it down for the first question. There we go. How do you view the concept of community?
Oh shit. Didn't I ask you that question?
You did, and I turned it back on you.
Oh my god, that's
I
a
had it
question?
the whole time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, of course. Of course. It's like super relevant.
Wow. How do I view the concept of community? First things that comes up is family and tribe vibe. Tribe vibe, a tribe, community, tribe, community, family, intertwined, having nothing to do with blood, but also blood at the same time. Eternal. Something that is like lifetimes. Like there are people like you know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
Hell yeah. I mean, right on with that. I mean, that's even part of the ceremony with Logan and the girls. They're just like, why I saw that is so valuable. Like, yeah, like there's a lot of risks involved, definitely. And like, I'm definitely getting involved in karma here.
Yeah.
But, like, she's a, yeah, she's a,
Yeah.
I love that woman and I love
Yeah.
those girls.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's see how community can come from family and like any place that I'm going that people don't want to have children in the picture, like man, they're missing out on a lot of just again like that type of generational expression
Yeah.
that's coming up, and interacting with the younger people, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's true.
So yeah, your answer is really again layers on top of what my answer was. I think at least. Fundamentally. But so you still have blood connections.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in contact with everyone. I'm in contact with my foster families. I'm in contact with my Frombalutis. I call them Frombaluti family. I'm in contact with the McClanahan family. I'm in contact with my high school friends. Like, I make sure I make it,
That's really impressive.
like, I do that thing. Like, I'm the person who hits you up at least once a year. See if we're good. That's me.
Man.
If I would like, if you come to mind, if I have God sends me a fucking dream about you, you will be receiving a call from me.
Yeah, dude, I have a lot of respect for that. I've cut ties with all my connections a few times. Um, for right or wrong, is part of the whole learning, you know. And it's a whole other process of being on the other side of that. And like I just can't. I I wish that I felt in my life where I was in a position that I could keep connection with people in my past.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And it's a lot. And it's not bad.
How many of them do you think align with your vision and your message?
The number has gone down since I've stepped into something, but the number has also gone up. It's fluctuating a lot. It's like this.
So do you think that your family's going to confront you about the decisions that you're making and see this as like a failure?
They're really excited.
That's awesome. Man.
They're really
That's so
excited.
awesome.
There are people in my life who worry about me, but it's all from a place of love. Outside of that, they trust me enough to know that, like, yeah, he might be a little crazy, a little extra, but he's good. Like, he's good.
I mean, it brings it right back to that whole thing about like the old growth seed, that we were talking about outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes to mind of like, man, we have to be able to confront mental health in ways that are healthy for everybody. And like some people are like super autistic, like we could say that, or like they're super rambunctious, or they don't know how to grow up. It's like, yeah, but like why why can't that be like an acceptance and like yeah, like obviously a lot of problems come from that.
Yeah.
And like that's
Yeah.
again, like we learn a lot from our traumas, but like
Facts.
don't we all want to be able to be creative and maintain like that, quote unquote like inner child type
Yeah.
of thing?
Yeah.
And like it's like not enough people are willing to take the risks for their soul, to be honest. We'll be right back, everybody.
Say it again. Not enough people are willing to take the freaking risk for their soul, regardless of the outcome. Just taking the risk.
Because that becomes an existential crisis,
Jesus.
you know?
I am going through a existential crisis, but it's beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
graceful one. It's a great because it could be so much worse.
You gotta really test the limits of your own devotion, you know, in those ways. And like again, it's like some people just have a more extreme story to arrive to their own artistry, you know. But like it becomes even a more potent and relevant message, you know.
Relevant.
What's that?
Relevant.
Yeah, relevant. I agree. And it's like because I feel like a lot of people stunt the development of their own creative abilities, and then they like wait too long until they're like bloated and they have too much money in their bank account, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on a cruise ship, and I'm going to go play golf with the boys, and then we're gonna have drinks later, Brenda."
Not Brenda. Brenda.
Anyway, it's just again, I have a lot of disdain for the older generations and how delusional they are. That's my opinion. Oh man, it's a deep program, man. It really is. We gotta, you know, you gotta really run the fine tooth comb through that. And that's a big conversation. And again, like you paint in broad strokes, you miss the fine lines. And like again, like I wouldn't be able to be who I am today if it wasn't for the people that came before me. And like 100% acknowledgement. And like I love all of humanity, and I observe bizarre natures within particular patterns that come from a group of people, you know. And it's like, yeah, like on an individual, it's like again, like it can easily become hyper analytical and almost like of a psychopathic nature to remove humanity from humans and like to see them as programs, and like that's very unhealthy. But the fact that it's happening is what's really unhealthy.
Right. Because the idea itself is insane. But the fact that it's happening is
Right. And it's like the ability to like that's the, you know, the mathematical black white calculation part of the mind that definitely exists. And then there's this that's like regenerative, and it's like in a healthy dynamic with the natural processes of our lives, and like it's also interestingly like mirroring quantum physics and like how that's being integrated with like quantum computing. And like it's just like we're at a critical point where like technology is going to be so insane that it's going to be such like a blinding light, as if like from a like a hypershock bomb. You know, it's so blinding and like you know, in the ears, it's like holy shit. Especially again, like it's like surprise, no surprise with the Epstein and all of these things. It's like, oh my god, of course.
And
Of
you know what?
course.
Since you brought it up, Michael Jackson name ain't pop up once. Yet. And I say yet because for the other people.
Are you concerned about Michael Jackson?
That's my nigga.
You like Michael Jackson?
That's my homie. And they really came at my homie when it was really the nigga down the block. AKA Billy the Jackson. I know all that is irrelevant.
Oh man, now it's super relevant.
But like,
Yeah, man, I hate what happened with Michael Jackson. It's so obvious that he was like painted by plastic surgery. Like he was made a mockery of, actually, by like whatever we want to call the authority of plastic surgery and cosmetics. Like it's just a deeper psychological aspect of Hollywood that a lot of people don't really want to look at. Of like how much, because of what his message was, and like how pure he was in his own trauma, and like how he
How
came out
pure
of
he
that.
was in his own trauma.
Yeah.
Sorry, because like you saying words that I've been trying to put together.
Yeah, it's like when you are able to really play back the even like the broad scale history that has led us to this point, and also like the hyper intensification after World War II, which is like, man, what a colossal conversation through all of those pathways that lead us to here, and the psyop of Hollywood, and like the mechanization of music, and artistry, and like even just, man, we could go into even pop art and just like the fabrication of what art is according to like what arbitrary standards by somebody that is paying for the marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's a
play
weird
the
thing.
guitar?
I can't wait for the day that I'm good at the guitar. Can I say that I play it? I can't say that, but I have a guitar,
You do have a
and I enjoy. I enjoy guitar of all instruments. An acoustic. That's an acoustic guitar with nylon strings, so it's more like a classical. Yeah, that's what I like to do. But to answer your question, no, I don't play guitar. Right? Yeah,
Yeah. 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 You're learning how to play guitar.
yeah. People have really encouraged me to get into music and also get into comedy.
Until we do.
I'm just catching it all.
You just doing you. You catching it all.
Yeah, that's fun. It indulges that curiosity in different ways. You know, man. Wow. Hey, this is really fun, huh? We're having a good time. I feel like we can check off that question. How do you view the concept of community?
Yes. I'll try to answer these questions.
Not great.
faster.
Nah, man, dude. Are you in a rush?
I am not. I'm a little hungry.
Okay. Well, Deshaun has been texting me, but I'm not in any rush, and he knows that I've been like I said, yeah. All right. How important is community to you in relation to your creative expression?
It's both extremely important, but also not important. I'll say it again. It's extremely important, but also not important at all. And it's extremely important because I am a human being. I need to like be connected to people. But it's not important because I'm kind of training myself to like. It may not be super healthy, but like I could do it by myself. Like I know I can't do it by myself, but telling myself that helps in those moments when it really is just me and God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real deep point of access where it's like I am really not desperate and all I got is time. I think it's an inevitable outcome that we start to come together and collaborate and do things together. Like I'm not pushing it down anybody's throats here, but I'm definitely wanting to create that conversation. And like, here's all my art that sort of is really about that, you know? And I think it gets to that point. It just gets to that point where we're only so big within ourselves. So it's so yeah, does that sort of summarize it, bring it around to like an agreement with what you were saying regarding like how important it is for you?
Yeah, because it is important. It is important. Period. It is important. But yeah, that's how I feel about
Yeah.
it. It definitely is important. Like,
You're not starved or like desperate to get it,
but like you're willing to have patience for it.
Yeah, because I kind of had no choice, like community was strict from me, so I always had to make my own community, and I got really good at doing that. But I've also gotten really good with just having a great inner world.
Yeah, yeah, that's like that whole thing around the blessing and the curse of that. Again, it's really we have a lot in common, which is really great. Do you feel like your sense of community like drives your future vision?
Yes.
Do you hold a future vision in relation to your art?
Yes. Yes, I do. And it's on some heroic shit.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, it most definitely is. And not just me and the all being, but as a community. Again, as I said, we need anything is tough. It's hope. And heaven, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like again, it's like how crazy it is for two guys to be having this conversation in this apartment. You know what I mean? And it's like this is what it looks like. Like this is what it looks like, and like it really does require participation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like all the conversations can only go so far, but like I do think it's really calling for more substantial, like blueprinting or like even
Yeah.
like,
Oh gosh. Yes.
basically as like a startup proposal with people
Yes.
that are like wanting to be supportive of that, but like
Yes.
people have to be like responsible
It's
and learn that language as well because that's a big
so
part
many
of being an
steps.
artist. And like,
Yeah.
and like some of us are better than others at doing that, but then how do
Correct.
we like see who's representative of what?
There is it is a dictatorship, or is it anarchy? The word, I don't know which word it is.
Well, one and the same, to be honest. In the vein of like that, if there's one speaking head as a representative of the collective voice that has come into an agreement,
Back, yeah,
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like that's what, and like because it's all standing on transparency, and we're all having a say in it. That like then it's agreed upon. This is what our standing is, and then we're going to stand on that as representative of this collective.
and not that we don't have that now. It's just really fucking shitty.
Well, it's just too nebulous. It's too floaty, and like I struggle, dude. It's taken me a long time to really heal my relationship with ganja. And like
Really good. Yeah.
all right, we had to just take a little break because it's 10:40 right now. We got started around 6 o'clock, so it's been a pretty full time. I don't know how long this whole interview is, but the questions have definitely been answered, and obviously it's all leading to more conversation. But that only comes in time, and the cup can only be so full. So, Sire, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Put it there. All right. Hey, that was a real fun one. I hope that you guys found a lot because I think there was a lot there, and it's more to come.
Is this the longest episode?
Ah man, we'll have to see. The time card will say. I had some long ones. All right. Thanks, y'all. Oh, hold on a second. Actually, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me everywhere at Sire MF, SIRE space MF. That's on Instagram.
I gotta follow you.
YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Sire, and Map.
I'll have your links and stuff also with the video. So I'll give it a little summary and all that kind of stuff. But all right, hey, that's great. Until again, everybody. See you later.